Yo, what's up guys? So today we are gonna see, what if Naruto married with female Kyuubi and had a child, part 1. Hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start, go check out the author of this fanfic, TomHint98, link is in the description, and also subscribe to my channel, and like this video. Let's begin the video. Naruto calmly looks at Madara, as Madara gives him the most evil glare ever to be witnessed. However, Naruto shrugs it off. Madara is literally on his last leg, as the other one was blown off by a lucky explosion. His EMS is gone, already having used Izanagi to evade death by Hiraishin for too long. Naruto holds out his hands in front of him, his body glowing from accessing the Kyuubi's chakra. A ball of energy forms between his palms and forearms, come out of the golden chakra cloak to aid in the adding of even more energy. Naruto pours chakra into the attack, all the while struggling to maintain control of it. Madara watches in fascination, as the ball grows from just as big as his hand to nearly equal his height. The ball is now held above Naruto's head, flashing through different colors at a high rate. Dajimurasen Shuriken 5-element spiraling shuriken. Naruto launches the ball of morphine color at Madara, and he knows that there is nothing he can do. With his EMS gone, he can't perform Kamui, and with the amount of chakra that is in that gigantic ball of death, there is no way for him to get out of the way. Hell, there is enough chakra in it that even the Kyuubi are breathing hard from the excursion. Naruto's smirk increases tenfold, as the ball hits dead center. Madara doesn't even get a chance to scream, as he disintegrates the moment the attack gets near him. Naruto lets out a sigh of relief. It is over. Finally, it took 6 months fighting, and dealing with the rest of Akatsuki, especially Kabuto, to flush Madara out of hiding. Him, and that damn Ito Tensei of his. He just kept reviving people. They would make a small dent, and more would show up. It was only after Chunjai had enough, and barreled through them all that they had broken through, and defeated him. But not without Chunjai getting bit by Manda. He died within minutes, much to the tears of his teammates, and the rest of the Rookie 11. But even after Kabuto died, his immortal soldiers remained. Those Jinchuriki bastards were really strong. And then Madara shows up with Jet Masm. His S-class soldiers had been killed, his Zetsu clones annihilated, his army gone. With no other choice, he unseals the 8 sealed bitch upon the rest of the army, and they were slaughtered. No, that would still be a massive understatement. The Hachibi, who was only sealed less than an hour beforehand, and the other 7 were all in a blind rage, their instincts telling them to get the hell out of there, and fast. It didn't matter who or what got in their path, it wasn't going to be there once they got through with it. Of course, the allied shinobi forces panicked, and started firing off at the feral beasts, making them prime targets. As a result, not one human survived. That is except for Naruto, who had followed Madara through his Kamui to his hidden base. From there, they fought 3 days across razor-sharp peaks, bottomless chasms, and raging storms. But it was done. Finally the war would be over, but to what end? All his friends are dead, the bitch now free to roam the world again -1. Suddenly a surge of light gets Naruto's attention. He looks to see that his Gajimurasen Shuriken is flashing even faster than before. Naruto feels a massive buildup, as the destabilize. Oh shit. Naruto feels the chakra spike, and covers his face in preparation for the massive explosion that is sure to come, but instead of an explosion, he implodes. It collapses in on itself, and tears the very fabric of space. Suddenly everything is being pulled into the black vortex. Naruto uses what is left of his chakra to plant himself to the floor, but is slowly sliding towards the singularity. Well, just look at what you've done now. Congratulations, piss for brains. You put so much energy into that attack that it created a black hole right in your living room. Thanks, by the way, for getting us killed, comes the lazy voice of the Kyuubi within the cage. Shut up. Fucking Fox always has to have the last say. I do not. Either way, it doesn't really matter now. Yelling the last part. And Naruto is sucked into the vortex, his body going under spaghettification, or the vertical stretching, and horizontal compression of objects into long thin shapes in a very strong gravitational field, such as a black hole. Naruto feels a very strange sensation, as he travels through the dark void, constantly being contorted, crushed, stretched, and flattened. He has no concept of time, as it doesn't exist here. He could have been here for thousands of years, or it could have been 5 seconds. Whichever it is, it feels like an eternity, just floating aimlessly around in the void with nothing to do or see. And aboard Naruto is usually a bad thing, as he can't really do anything right now. Suddenly Naruto finds himself deposited on the cold hard ground, knocking the breath out of him, as well as his sanity. He kisses the ground, and pulls a pile of dirt into his chest, and begins to whisper sweet nothings to it. He caresses it, kisses it again. Kyuubi watches in horror, as he does this, but draws the line when Naruto starts to unbuckle his pants to screw the dirt. Oh, I fucked hard. What the fuck are you doing? Naruto doesn't stop what he's doing, but replies anyway. What does it look like? I'm going to make love to it. I never thought I would see it again, so I'm going to take advantage of the time we have together, he says like it is the most obvious thing in the world. Kyuubi massively sweat drops. What the fuck is wrong with this kid? Naruto is about to commit the deed. He dug out a hole just big enough for him, when Kyuubi's chakra flares around him, burning him, but not damaging him too much. It has the desired effect, and makes him stop his intended screwing of the dirt, thus soiling the soil. Ah! I'm on fire. I'm on fire. He yells, as he runs around in a circle for a few minutes before taking off in a random direction. He keeps on screaming, as he runs, all the while his ahem hanging out. It would have been priceless for someone to see, or better yet, take a picture. Naruto sees a river, and cannonballs right into the center of it, soaking him to the bone with ice-cold water. He sighs, as his skin cools, ignoring the fact that Kyuubi had stopped channeling its chakra right when he started to run in circles, and yelling like an idiot. Luckily though, the river is where Naruto's sanity had taken refuge, and reunited with Naruto, making him whole again. Naruto suddenly turns around, having no idea how he got into a river. What the hell? Are you serious? You don't remember what the hell just happened? Kyuubi asks, dumbfounded. If I knew, why would I be asking you of all things for an answer? He thinks back. Well, I'm not going to tell you, lest you get any ideas. I do, however, suggest that you get out of this freezing river before you catch something, and you die from a Kyuubi roars. Naruto puts his pinky in an ear, and turns it. Gee, turn down the decibel level will you? I may be able to regenerate parts of my body, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt like hell when you do that. When Kyuubi remains silent, Naruto shakes his head, and gets out of the river. He finds his chakra, to his great but pleasant surprise, it is refilled, as well as Kyuubi's. Naruto manipulates the air around him, making it move faster, and tying in some fire chakra into the wind which heats it, turning it into a natural dryer. Within minutes, Naruto is completely dry and warm. Where should I go? Now that this war is over, I can finally relax. Who am I kidding? I don't have anything left. Sakura, Kakashi, Bachan, the others are all dead, and I'm not going back to some place that hates me. The shinobi don't anymore, but then they are all dead. Besides, they think I'm dead so I can go wherever I like. But just where in the 9 circles of hell am I? All I know is that it is dark, and I'm in a forest. That could be any number of places or countries. Naruto walks a bit further, trying to pay attention to his surroundings. Suddenly Kyuubi starts. I know where we are at. Kid, go 1,000 meters to the south. Naruto crosses his arms in defiance. And why should I, furball? Kyuubi growls from behind the cage, hackles raised. Because you are an insolent little bag of shit, I know exactly where we are, and unless you want to wander around for the rest of your life, I suggest you follow my directions. Naruto rolls his eyes. Fine. This one time, I will follow your instructions, oh great Baka the Kitsune. Instead of replying, Kyuubi surges chakra through the seal, but it is only aimed at a specific point. His balls. Naruto's eyes flash, as his testicles feel like they are melting, and regrowing every second. It feels like an extra dose of icy hot, and golden at the same time. Kyuubi smirks at how easily Naruto is brought to his knees. Now what were you saying about Baka Kitsune? Kyuubi asks in a smug voice. Naruto tries to answer, but the pain is too great. What was that? I can't hear you. I'm sorry. Just make it stop. He bellows at the top of his lungs, desperate for relief. Kyuubi smirked evilly, and upped the intensity. Kyuubi keeps this up for about 10 seconds, while Naruto is on the verge of passing out, tears streaming down his face. He's too far from the river to go back before his balls melt off. Suddenly the burning sensation goes down, and over the next half hour, Naruto regains the ability to talk. Then the next 20 minutes for the ability to sit up. 10 to stand, then another 5 to walk in a straight line. Never ever do that again, Naruto whispers. Men, and their soft bodies. You act like that organ is the most important thing that your body possesses. The tone is decidedly sexist. Why would Kyuubi be sexist against his own sex? Unless... Wait, back up. You're a female. Kyuubi chuckles darkly. Took you long enough to figure out. But I'll give you credit. Neither your mother nor Mito knew that. They never figured out why I didn't have a PP when they visited me, nor did they bother to ask me. Kami, I swear that even the females of the human race are sexist against themselves. Naruto can feel the resentment rolling off Kyuubi when she says Mito Uzumaki's name. Naruto shakes his head at her antics. Though I can see why they would think that. Booming voice, extremely violent tendencies, unquenchable thirst for blood. Those don't exactly scream Mother Goose. Kyuubi rolls her eyes. And why can't females be violent or bloodthirsty? I recall a certain Kunoichi named Danko who licked your blood. She is both wild. Tsunade is, as violent as ever, her anger having almost a shorter fuse than mine. Your own mother enjoyed battle greatly, though it was because of the adrenaline and the thrill of it, rather than wanting to draw and bathe in the blood of your enemies. But the point still remains. But enough of this idle chit-chat. I tire of explaining things to simpletons and idiots. Just head south, and you will see for yourself. With that, Kyuubi closes the link between their minds, leaving Naruto alone for the time being. But having no other option, he turns south and moves at a leisurely pace. But even then time passes quickly. He crests a hill and stares at the sight. There lies Konoha, his home. Lights glittering throughout the village, as well as the bright million-lumen lights illuminating the Hokage monument. The sight makes his blood boil slightly after making it his goal to not return to this very place. Something is off. Naruto starts. Wait, I thought you were going to pout. Kyuubi rolls her eyes. I was not pouting. But that's beside the point. I started paying attention when you laid eyes on your village. The very sight still makes me want to destroy it, for old time's sake. This time, Naruto rolls his eyes, and chooses to ignore her last comment. You said something is off. What exactly is off about it? The fact that there should only be very few shinobi right now. No, you brat. Look at the monument, and tell me what you see. Kyuubi growls in annoyance. For once, Naruto does the smart thing, and actually does what Kyuubi says without asking. When he looks, he doesn't see anything out of place. There is a Shadame, Nidame, Sandame, Yondame. God wait. The face of Tsunade is gone, no evidence that it has ever been there. What the fuck? Naruto whispers aloud. Indeed. I can only come to two conclusions. One is that they erased her face because she did something so vile that she was immediately stripped of position, executed, and stricken from the history books. Unlikely. The other option is even more so unlikely, but I think it is the right one. That singularity threw us back in time somehow. I can only guess that it was pure chance that we arrived at the time that we did. That is why nothing from Madara's base made it through with us. But even more so is the question of when. It has to be closer to 16 to 18 years ago, as Yondame's face still looks fresh, unweathered. Naruto listens to Kyuubi's rant with detached interest. Sure. Let's go with that. So this means that we can change things. Yes, but you should be careful. Anything you do will send history off on a tangent. In fact, just by being here, history is forever altered. Unless someone goes to your history and stops you from using that. But then again, that timeline doesn't exist anymore. So someone would have had to go back in time to stop you from changing anything, like right now. But that would mean that someone would have to know your history, and know to come here. So, shut up. You're giving me a headache. Naruto bellows. Kyuubi inside snickers at Naruto. That was so worth it. Anyways, I'll avoid the major villages. If it is the past, then that means that they won't recognize me. And I really don't want to be detained by Anbu, and have to explain why I have a bitch sealed in me. Kyuubi wholeheartedly agrees with her container for once. Kid, there's one other thing that you should know. I'm no expert on time travel, but I'm pretty sure that if you change too many things, you will disappear, as well as me. The more you change, the more likely things will not turn out as they did. So don't change things unless you want to risk being dead, and I don't feel like taking that risk. Naruto waves his hand at her, and walks off towards the west. I figure that I should go to Uzushio, and see what I can do there. I always wanted to see where Kasen came from, but never got the chance. Kyuubi stays quiet, content with Naruto moving away from a potentially fatal encounter. But, as Naruto moves through the forest, Kyuubi gets a feeling of deja vu. This area seems extremely familiar, but I can't put my finger on it. Suddenly, Naruto picks up a surge of chakra coming from a rock. Naruto quickly moves to the rock to investigate, and recognizes it as a barrier seal. Hirosenin's training paid off at least a little in the Kenjutsu department. Kai. Naruto whispers while putting a great deal of chakra through the seal, overloading it. The barrier falls, revealing an entrance into a cave. Naruto spies two dead Anbu just inside the entrance. The kunai wounds to their necks indicate it was a sneak attack from behind. Naruto moves past the dead Anbu, and moves into the cave. The tunnel seems to go on for miles into the rock, until Naruto enters a large room with a giant Hiraishin kunai hanging from the 12-foot ceiling, and the tip touching the floor. In the very center of the room, a woman with long red hair lays exhausted, and covered in sweat, a seal very visible on her stomach. Beside her, a man with golden hair stares at a man in a black cloak. At the cloaked man's feet lies a dead woman in her 60s. Step away from the host. If you don't, this child won't live a minute longer. Naruto stares at the scene, all occupants completely engrossed in the man in black. But in his head, Kyuubi is going nuts. Get out of there now. Go. You cannot interrupt this, it has to happen. You interfere, and I can guarantee that you will disappear. But Naruto has none of that. Stoic Kyuubi team. Madara is right in front of me, and you expect me to do nothing about it. I don't think so. Stop kidding, Kyuubi roars, but Naruto is already in action. He pulls out a kunai, and moves behind Madara. He is in luck, as this Madara doesn't have the Rinnegan, but he does have both his Sharingan, so that will be a bitch to deal with. Luckily though, father is right here, and ready to fight right after this. Madara has the Yondame right where he wants him, to choose his newly born son or his wife. That is until a kunai finds its way into his heart had he not activated Izanagi, allowing the kunai to phase right through him. This also has the unfortunate side effect of little Naruto phasing through him, as well. But a golden flash, Minato has his son in his arms, and flashes away again. While Madara and Kushina look to see who has saved her son the brat, both of their eyes go wide, despite Kyuubi trying to break free of Kushina's seal. Kushina is looking strangely at Naruto, as she fully recognizes him from her baby who was born minutes ago. "Who are you?" Madara questions. Naruto shrugs. "Oh, someone who just happened to be in the area, so I decided to drop in and say hello and shove a Rasen Shuriken up your ass." Naruto can feel Kyuubi's sweat drop, while Madara and Kushina wonder what the hell a Rasen Shuriken is. "That was lame. Even for you." Naruto ignores Kyuubi and takes out a kunai, a Hiraishin kunai. Naruto starts to spin. Kunai Cage Bunshin no Jutsu Kunai Shadow Clone Technique. Out of his spin, dozens of kunai are launched in every direction, though none in Kushina's direction. Now almost every inch of the cave is covered in Hiraishin markers. Madara chuckles while Kushina's suspicions are confirmed. That is her Naruto, all grown up. He learned about his father's fame. And what are you going to do with that, boy? Only one man can use that to its fullest extent, and that person isn't you. Kamui, Might of the Gods. The very air around Naruto begins to shift and blur. Naruto is being sucked into another dimension. But Naruto knows this attack and its weakness. Kakashi used it on Tadara while Sakura and Chiho battles Sasori. Naruto looks to the giant Hiraishin kunai in the corner, and just as the technique finishes, Naruto teleports over to it, making Madara think that he really is gone. Now that the pests are gone, let's continue, shall we? Kushina starts to struggle to stand, but is too weak from birth, and keeps Kyuubi locked away. Madara approaches Kushina when someone grabs his shoulder. Madara finds himself outside the cave suddenly. Naruto salutes the clone that was created when he was spinning, and ordered to place a Hiraishin marker outside the cave, so they could take their fight away from the Kushina. Madara is a little woozy from the teleport, but quickly finds his bearings. He and Naruto begin to fight in earnest. Naruto is getting frustrated, having to face two Madaras in the same day, and both use Izanagi to the extreme. Naruto again uses the Kunai Cage Bunshin, so the ground is littered with them, and Naruto uses them to great effect. Madara may have space-time, but he isn't that physically fast. However, Naruto forgets that time is not on his side. From inside the cave, Kushina is having a hard time suppressing Kyuubi. Suddenly her seal breaks, and the Kyuubi claws its way out of the seal, and crashes through the rock and into the night sky, drawing the attention of both Naruto and Madara. It's been fun, but that's my cue. Madara uses Jikanai DM space-time migration, which is a complete commute that Kakashi uses, and escapes. Suddenly there is a flash next to him, and Minato appears with a very serious look on his face. "Who are you, and why are you here?" Naruto shakes his head. "We don't have time for that. I know where he is heading, and I need you to pull me along with your Hiraishin to Konoha before it's too late." Minato looks like he wants to argue, but the look on the man who saved his son's life says not to question. Minato grabs Naruto's shoulders, and flashes away to the main gates just in time to hear Kuchiya's no jutsu. Kyuubi no Yuko. Main gate 30 seconds ago. The lone Chunin patrols the upper gate, keeping an eye out for enemies. Of course he doesn't think that there will be one. The last time enemies approached the gates of Konoha was the first shinobi war over 100 years ago. "Man, I can't wait to get home and get some sleep. Ami-chan has been keeping me up too late with her sex drive. Well, I love it, it is getting in the way of my duties. I barely arrived on time, disheveled and sweaty with her smell all over me. I get so much flack from my co." He lets out a tired sigh as he continues his patrol over the gate when a voice rings out. "Kuchiya's no jutsu. Kyuubi no Yuko." Then something out of a horror movie appears. A snarling fox with 9 angrily swirling tails appears. He can smell the rotten breath of the Kyuubi, and can see drools drip from its mouth in anticipation of so many meals. The man shakes in terror, as the Kyuubi naturally emits washes over him, cascading him in fear and despair. He never sees the flash of his Hokage beside him or the hand pulling him away from the descending claw of the Kyuubi. Minato looks in horror, as the Kyuubi appear in front of the gates, towering over them by dozens of stories. Most of the shinobi go pale, and begin to panic. "Let's take care of Madara first, then Kyuubi." It looks like he has Kyuubi under Jinjutsu, judging from the Sharingan superimposed on the eyes of Kyuubi, Naruto suggests. Minato nods, and both take off after the madman. On his high horse or kitsune, Madara cackles madly to himself. Finally, revenge shall be. Madara flies off the head of Kyuubi to the ground from the unexpected kick from Naruto. Suddenly a large blue flying car, whatever that is, stops right beside Kyuubi, and a man in tight blue leather and a red helmet pops out. "You stole my line. It was the author, wasn't it? Prepare to feel my unstoppable falcon punch and ultimate dry rape attack." He pulls back his first, and aims for the invisible author, floating above everyone, writing down everything that happens for someone else to read. Said author gets tired of his interference. Go dry hum pink Yashi, and using master hand, flicks Captain Falcon just as he punches. Falcon dur. With a poof, the blue racer disappears, and Captain Falcon flies into the air, and winks into the sky, and is gone. Everyone just stares at what just happened. Even Kyuubi stopped to watch the homo in tight leather get smacked around. What the fuck was that? Naruto shouts aloud, asking what everyone is thinking. His words get everyone moving again. Kyuubi starts killing, and Madara dusts himself off and faces the two Namekis. I have something just for him. I need you to distract him until I'm ready. Minato gives him a confused look, but takes out a Hiraishin kunai and attacks Madara. Naruto starts gathering chakra in his hands. He creates 4 clones, and each places both of their hands around the Rasengan. What the fuck are you doing? I told you not to interfere, but did you listen? No. You had to go charging headlong into a fight that wasn't yours to deal with, and we will be lucky if we don't disappear. Naruto cuts Kyuubi off, as she continues to rant, and it was giving him a headache, not to mention distracting him. His clones either feed chakra into the Rasengan or help maintain his stability. Naruto spares a glance at Minato, and sees Minato barely Hiraishin away from getting sucked into a chicken idm, and reappears right on top of Madara, slamming a Rasengan into his back. That clear? Naruto shouts. Minato wastes no time, and Hiraishin has to deal with Kyuubi. Naruto dispels his clones, and holds the Gajimurasen shuriken above his head like last time. However, unlike last time, Naruto is using a third less chakra into it, hoping that this time it won't tear a hole in space. Naruto rushes forward, and throws it into the face of Madara, who is getting up from the floor. However, Naruto phases through him, and Madara's EMS starts spinning. Tsukiyomi. Naruto is transported into Madara's Genjutsu. Unlike Itachi's, Madara's sky is a dark purple. Naruto is tied down to a stake in the middle, surrounded by dozens of matters. Now you will answer my questions. Who are you, and why do you have Kyuubi's signature in you? Naruto is slightly surprised that he can tell, but with as much experience with bitch as he does, that is to be expected. I'm not telling you shit. Madara chuckles. You don't have a choice. In this world, I am the ruler over everything. You will spend the next 5 days being tortured, even after you provide me the information I seek. One of the Madaras moves forward, and raises his sword. When the sword is thrust forward, the sword breaks. Madara is dumbfounded. His super Omi increases when the stake Naruto is tied to melts, and allows Naruto back to the ground. You seem shocked. I don't blame you. I'm probably the only person who can recognize a mindscape. Madara is broken out of his whatever you call it, and all of them rushes Naruto. Said person tilts his head, and all the Madaras freeze. Said maniac growls in frustration, as he tries to move. You see, I've spent countless hours in my mindscape. I know that what I say or decide goes. Tsukiyomi isn't a Genjutsu per se, more of a telepathic. It tosses your consciousness into Mimin where you take over. For most people, even Yamanaka, they don't realize that it is a mindscape, and just give in, and allow you to control what goes on. Madara stops struggling, and tries to cut them, knowing that he has lost control of the situation. However, Naruto isn't about to just let him go. Sorry, you're not getting out of here until I say so. Naruto strides up to Madara, and clenches his hand around his throat. Ever wonder what happens to the body when the mind dies inside someone else's body? Naruto channels Kyuubi's chakra into his hand, making it flow into Madara's body. Madara lets out a howl of pain, as the toxic burns his coils and body. After a few minutes, Madara's screams die, as does his body. I guess it is time to see what really happened. Naruto wakes in the same position as before with his arm going through Madara's body. Naruto quickly dissipates his hand that is still attached to his hand before something catastrophic should happen. Madara's body slumps forward, and phases through his arm, and lands on the ground in a slump, being officially brain dead. His body has no instructions other than the passive ones like breathing. Naruto leans down, and shakes his head. If only it was that easy last time. He touches Madara's body, and channels Kyuubi's into the body. The red surrounds the body, and liquefies it in seconds, leaving nothing but a patch of goo. Good riddance. With that man gone, it should be a lot better for this world. However, Naruto's little break is disrupted when Kyuubi roars in pain. Naruto looks to see Gamabunta slicing into Kyuubi with his giant hand. Kyuubi retaliates with a claw to the toad's face, causing a deep gash. Naruto hurries into the front gate, having staked it with a kunai, while Minato pulled the chicken out of the way of the claw. He sees Minato flying through hand seals with a small bundle at his feet, and knows what he is going to do. He runs over to Minato while Kushina is standing next to him, bleeding in several places. Wait. Don't do Shikifkin. Minato spins, and sends a questioning glare at Naruto. I have no choice. There's no other way to stop the Kyuubi. Yes there is. I'm going to talk to Kyuubi. This time Kushina and Minato look at him like he is crazy. Are you mad? Kyuubi will kill you in an instant. Kushina shouts, but winces immediately afterwards. Naruto shakes his head, and jumps forward, and harassins Kushina to the hospital, ignoring her thrashing about, and shouts to go back. He has to give it to her. Even though she just gave birth, and Kyuubi escaped from the seal, she still has the energy and strength to fight him. I have to go back. I have to protect my baby. Kushina-sen. You cannot protect him in the future if you die here because you won't get medical treatment. I'll protect him in your stead, but you will die if you don't get help. Whether or not it gets Kyuubi sealed inside of him or not, he is going to need you in the future. Kushina stops struggling at his words. Naruto's voice softens almost to a whisper. I have to go now. You stay here, and hopefully everything will work out okay. Kushina lets out a tear after Naruto harassins away, and allows herself to be taken care of. That's what did you go through in Sachi, to make your eyes flare in pain like that? Battlefield. Minato nearly loses concentration, as Naruto appears next to him. What have you done with Kushina? He asks. I took her to the hospital. She would have died if she stayed here. Minato can hear the sadness in this strange man's voice, like he is truly sad, like it already happened. However, he isn't given any more time to think about it when Gamabunto is slammed into the side of the mountain. Keep going through the hand seals for Shikifukin, but don't perform the technique. I need something over Kyuubi's head to find him to persuade it to calm down. Minato scowls. And why shouldn't I just perform it now? You'll just have to trust me. Besides, what is the power of a Jinchuriki to the bitch itself? That's just Minato thinking. What are you doing? Kyuubi booms, having re-established the connection. Naruto ignores the Kyuubi sealed within him, and focuses on the task at hand. He takes a few steps forward, and using chakra, makes his voice much louder. Oi. Kyuubi no Yuko. If you don't want to be sealed into a tiny baby for all of eternity, I suggest you stop. Kyuubi, who has been tossing Gamabunto around like a toy, snarls, and leaps towards Naruto and Minato. Minato gets ready to activate it, but Naruto stops him. You really want to be sealed again, don't you? When Kyuubi doesn't stop, Naruto closes his eyes. Suddenly 4 tails of red explode from Naruto, shocking Minato, and making Kyuubi halt in his tracks. That's right. I'm not from here. I'm the boy you were about to get sealed into only 16 years in the future. It's time to talk. Naruto lets the cloak disperse. And what would you say, Kyuubi Asos? Minato is again shocked that Kyuubi would actually try to talk with his apparent son from the future. My old man here is about 1 second away from casting that would seal you and me for the next foreseeable 16 years. Now I know you don't want that from experience, so I have a deal. Both Kyuubi are listening quite hard, making Naruto grin evilly. You promise to be married to someone of Konoha, the Hokage's choice, and protect Konoha and the people within it, or you get sealed. How's that? It is so silent that one could hear the ants shuffling around in the grass. What did you say? Minato asks. Naruto turns around. It is quite simple really. See, Kyuubi is female, something that I figured out only an hour ago. If she were to protect Konoha of her own volition, it would be better for Konoha, as training a Jinchuriki would take time, and Konoha won't be in the best position to defend itself from attacks for a while. Also, if she were to have children, they too would be of benefit to Konoha. Although I'm not sure she can never ask. And what makes you think that I would ever agree to this? I would just be trading one prison for another. Kyuubi on the outside booms. Naruto cleans out his ear. Damn, what is it with you, and screaming. God, I'll be lucky to have a functioning ear after this. Minato's sweat drops. His son has absolutely no fear of the strongest of bitch and creatures of the world. It is somewhat admirable, though if he did grow up knowing Kyuubi, you two would get used to talking with her. I'm not really giving you a choice. Either submit or be sealed. I figured that you would prefer to be on the outside, seeing how the one inside me constantly complains about bad smells and cramps and her fur being constantly soaked in water. She also smells quite bad, let me tell you. What Minato doesn't know is that Naruto just used a ton of manipulation on Kyuubi, appealing to the womanly side that abhors being dirty. Naruto can see Kyuubi's eyes shift back and forth, thinking about the decision. It isn't like I'm going to be forced to sleep with someone. I'll just say that I'll agree to the marriage, and nothing else. Naruto sees Kyuubi come to a decision. I will agree to the marriage, and my role, as protector. But, she interrupts them. It will not be for all time. 30 years, and my part is done. After that I am free to leave. Naruto thinks about it before realizing that it would be downright cruel to demand anything further. Sure, he doesn't like Kyuubi, but he doesn't despise her like he does Madara or Danzo. Agreed. You can release it now, Pops. Wait, that's it. No contracts seal. Naruto shakes his head. Yup. Over the years, I've picked up that a demon's word is binding, not only on their honor, but in the next life when Shinigami comes to collect their souls. A demon is bound to his or her word or suffers the consequences in the next life. It's the same for humans, only bitch knows what happens when they lie. Minato isn't so sure, but this teenager in front of him hasn't given him any reason to doubt him so far. He even took his wife to the hospital, and actually got her to stay, and that is a feat in itself. Alright. Let's go to the hospital so we can check up on Kushina-chan. Naruto nods, and Kyuubi, well, she shrinks. She condenses, and becomes human-looking, and very hot. Like obscenely hot. Naruto wasn't expecting that. He wasn't sure what he was expecting. This goddess in human form is roughly round his height, dark skin that has a tan quality to it, and a figure that would get most women to become bisexual, along with an air that screams sexy. Kyuubi stalks towards the two males completely naked with 9 tails and ears. She glares at Naruto's obvious stare. Better turn around before I tear your eyes out. Naruto has the decency to blush and turn around, seeing how he just subjected her to 30 years of servitude. Minato, what's going on? Minato looks at the old man jumping down and landing with 20 Chunin at his back. All tense and are about to charge the woman who is obviously the Kyuubi. Sarutobi fights through a nosebleed and focuses on the matters at hand. I have made an agreement with Kyuubi. It was not her fault she attacked, though she did decide to keep attacking afterwards. Now I have secured her as the village's protector. Sarutobi looks astonished. How can you trust her? She is a demon and won't keep her word. Do not speak of things you know nothing about, old man. Just because you perceive me as evil does not make it so. If you must know, I kept attacking for the transgression of keeping me imprisoned. How would you feel if you were suddenly pulled into an unknown location then sealed for the next 50 years because of a situation you had nothing to do with? When I saw my chance to get retribution, I didn't hesitate to do so. Naruto can sympathize with that, but still, she did keep attacking, causing massive death and destruction. She has to atone for that. But Minato. Enough Sarutobi. I have faith in her. Now if you excuse me, I must see Kushina. I would appreciate it if you would start organizing search parties to look for survivors while I deal with this. I have a feeling it will take a while. Minato picks up baby Naruto, somehow still asleep, and puts his arm around grown-up Naruto, who has placed a hand on Kyuubi's shoulder, and Minato hears and sees the second yandere, but with whiskers for the first time, but only for a split second, as Minato hurries into the seal placed on Kushina. Hospital. Kushina lays in her bed, IV running liquids into her system. Tsunade had seen her immediately when she had been brought in. She stopped the internal bleeding, and healed her abdomen from where Kyuubi had ripped its way to freedom. It turns out that her son from the future was right. Another few minutes, and there would have been nothing they could do. She would have died, and left her son alone in the world if Minato went through the ceiling. While still tired, she can't sleep, not until she knows the outcome of her family. She twists the blanket in her hand so tightly her hands almost bleed. I should be out there helping them. She jumps when 3 people, no 4, hurry into the room. Tears of happiness roll down her cheeks when she sees her husband holding their son. She holds out her arms, and Minato places him in Kushina's arms, glad her family is whole. Thank you for bringing him back to me. Don't thank me. Thank our apparent son from the future. Kushina looks up, and sees grown-up Naruto standing off to the side, clearly uncomfortable. Having never known his parents, and now having them in front of him, he certainly doesn't know how to feel or react. Thank you Naruto. Said teenager gives a small nod. Well, this is awkward. Kushina looks at the last person, and gasps. Kyuubi-chan. Kyuubi glares at Kushina. You have no right to call me that. You kept me locked away for decades under lock and key without being so much as stretched. No, you don't have the right to talk to me so familiarly. Kushina's gaze drops, and nods solemnly. So then, Kyuubi-san, why are you here? Because I am forced to be. That brat you call a son forced me into an arrangement where I am to be Konoha's protector for the next 30 years. On top of that I must marry someone of your husband's discretion. Kushina is shocked that Naruto would do that. Why did you do that, Naruto-kun? Naruto has no idea what to feel when she calls him that. Instead of focusing on the emotions, as he probably won't be there too much longer, he answers her question. Well mom, it is awkward saying that. Originally it is to get back at the Kyuubi sealed within me. He stops to answer Kushina's question. In my history, no one showed up to save myself from getting Kyuubi sealed within me. You both died in the ceiling, Shinigami taking dad's soul, and you mom dying of blood loss and internal injuries. Madara went on to form a group called Akatsuki, and go after the Bijk of the world to reform Ichibai. He wanted to conquer the world, but I stopped him. With the help of the 5 elemental nations, we band together under a single banner, and tried to stop him. However, he had sealed the other 8 Bijk within a statue, and released the Bijk into the middle of the army, and none survived. I engaged Madara, and defeated him, but nothing was left, and it was for nothing. The cages, and 90% of all the shinobi were killed. The Bijk are free to roam the lands again. Konoha was destroyed, all my friends killed. Kushina sees the pain of everything he felt, the despair, the fear, the loneliness. She hands little Naruto to Minato, and gets out of the hospital bed. By this point, Naruto has trailed off into his own memories. He stiffens, as he feels slender arms wrap around him, and pull him into a tight hug. He realizes that his mother is hugging him in a way that he always wanted to be held, but woefully denied. He relaxes into her hug, and hugs her back. You know, I always used to say that I wanted to be the orange Hokage, yellow you dad, and red from you. I didn't know why I loved the color yellow until I knew who my parents were. I was loud and brash to get a scrap of attention, even if it brought around the wrong kind. He doesn't know why, but he feels compelled to tell her about his childhood, to tell her about his troubles, his pain, his loneliness, the betrayal of Kakashi at the Chunin exams, and Sasuke nearly killing him multiple times. How he never had anyone to truly care for him in a family sense until Tsunade came back. Not even Sarutobi, since he was too busy to truly be there for him all the time. Kushina let him vent on her. That is her role as a mother, and since Naruto never had one for him, this is long overdue. Kyuubi looks like she is going to say something, but a very cold look from Kushina stops her. Naruto eventually stops talking, and just hugs his mother, basking in how it feels to have someone to be there for, and cherish you. Sure, he had friends, but nobody took the time to truly know him. Not one. And yet, here's a woman he barely knows lets him vent everything to her. Thanks mom, I needed that. Kushina smiles at him, glad to provide him some semblance of what it feels like to have a mother. It breaks her heart to know that this village did things like that to him, even as a child. It disgusts her, but she is more than a little beast since it is her blood, not her true flesh, but close enough. No problem, Naruto-kun. You were saying why you forced Kyuubi-san into this. Naruto nods. I was saying that even though Kyuubi was under the Genjutsu at first, she still chose to keep attacking. I felt that some atonement was needed. Kyuubi flares in anger. I wouldn't have felt the need to take revenge on your pathetic village if I hadn't been treated like I was. How about how I was treated? Like a wild animal who was summoned, and then sealed before I knew what was going on, and then forced to live in captivity for the next 50 years because of something I could not control. And then an opportunity happens for me to get free, and give back what I was dealt. How is that in any way unfair to this village? Their tails flare dangerously behind her, as her emotions roll off her. However, it has a secondary effect of flaring her. Kyuubi-san, please calm down. You're going to bring the whole village here. Kyuubi strains herself to calm herself down. I hear you, Kyuubi, and after 30 years, you are free to go with no strings attached. Unless you attack again, however, I agree with Naruto. I will not force you to marry right now, I'll let you get settled, Minato says, as he offers his opinion, earning a glare from Kyuubi. Kushina hesitantly looks towards her. I'm sorry I assumed the worst about you, Kyuubi-san. Hopefully I can make it up to you. Maybe you can live with us, and help me raise Naruto. Kyuubi is stunned that the woman who was her jailer for 20 years or so, just offered to help raise her child. While she was inside the seal, she could feel emotions, and what the feeling was towards. She had felt her love for her child clear, as day from night. She knows just how much she loves her child, and for her to offer that means she really wants to make amends. However, she is a bitch, and has no need for such a relationship. I appreciate the offer, but I have no interest in changing the diaper of a child that is not mine. Kushina nods, and sits back on her bed only to spring up, and drag Minato off into the hall. Naruto and Kyuubi share a confused look, and shrug. A few minutes later, they come back into the room, and Minato sighs. So brilliant idea from Kushina-chan. She thinks that you, Naruto, should marry Kyuubi. Naruto's world stops. He would have laughed if not for the seriousness of how it was said. Wait, you want me, he points to himself. To marry her, he points to Kyuubi. When there is already a Kyuubi, and probably the bane of my existence sealed inside me, and in fact are the same person. Kyuubi gives him an offended look, but agrees with him. I will not marry this barbarian, not when he was the one to force me into this. I will accept any other except him. Kushina looks downtrodden. She thinks it is a great idea, as both need affection from someone, and could make each other happy. Naruto sees the look, and softens. Look, mom. It isn't that I don't appreciate people trying to help me. It means more than you know, but this woman, well, specifically not her, but her counterpart, we have two different. We have a respect for each other, but nothing beyond that. In fact, I'm sure deep down we hate each other for me jailing her, and her playing a part in this whole fiasco. And I'm not exactly sure how much longer I'm going to be here. He sees the confused looks on the faces of everyone except the Kyuubi in the room. I've tampered too much with the current timeline. When I first got here, Kyuubi warned me that changing too many things will result in my never being here. I'm sure that killing Madara and Kyuubi, which is not sealed right now, is changing the timeline radically. I'm probably lucky to have lasted this long. But before I go, I need to tell you a few things. 1. Danzo will cause a lot of trouble. It would be best to take care of him early. 2. Orochimaru will seek revenge on Konoha. In my timeline, he founded the nation of Odo just for this purpose. He is also after the Sharingan, and has that allows him to change bodies. Speaking of the Uchiha, in a few years, they are going to try coup de grace, and seize power. An Anbu by the name of Itachi will slaughter the clan on the orders of the elders, and Danzo, leaving only one alive. Also, Danzo, should this happen, Danzo will have a Sharingan implanted in his right eye, and several planted in a Mokutan arm, that will be grown by Orochimaru. Those two go hand in hand for a while. Minato nods at the information. Oh, and one more thing. I don't know if Jiraiya has done so yet, but he will train 3 kids from fame. Bring them here. One has a bloodline to create and control paper, and another has the Rinnegan. They're the ones who bring down Salamander Hanzo and become S-rank nin in their own right. Minato makes a note to talk to Jiraiya about that. Kushina bites her lip and leans over and whispers to Minato. His eyes widen and give her a sharp look. She stares at Minato in a pleading way, which Minato could never say no to. Alright. So Kyuubi, Kushina, and I have agreed that you will marry Naruto from our time when he is 16. Kyuubi raises an eyebrow. She did say anyone, but future Naruto. For Naruto, his plan backfired. He wanted to get back at Kyuubi, not make his younger self miserable for the rest of his life. So we are destined to be together even in this life. Kyuubi, you've been strangely quiet, considering we are about to die. I don't see the point of complaining about the inevitable. You doomed us the second you interfered. The process has already been started. We have only minutes to live. Naruto looks down at his hand and indeed sees his hand slowly disappearing, though it is only very subtle. Though something detects something in Kyuubi's tone of voice. Was that loathing? Disappointment? Anger? Then it clicks. Regret. She must regret not being able to get out. No, that's not it. She doesn't regret what she can't change. What could she have changed? Nothing about the timeline, nor is she regretful about how she conducted her life. He is brought out of his thoughts when Kushina gasps when she sees his hand. Naruto, kun your hand. He looks at his hand and shrugs. I guess that means I don't have much time left. Listen, I don't regret stopping Madara. I've changed things for the better for the young me. Promise me you'll show him just how much a mother loves her child, okay? Kushina smiles. Databeo. Naruto laughs at that. Now he knows where he got that from. Hey dad, about the Rasengan. When learning shape manipulation and adding elemental chakra to it, my sensei said something. He said it is like adding shape, and elemental chakra is like looking straight, left, and right all at the same time. At first I didn't get it, but I came up with the answer. Kage Bunshin. Minato's eyes bulge out. You completed the Rasengan. Naruto proudly nods his head. Yeah. I created the Rasen Shuriken, an S-ranked. Using the same principle, I created the Gajim Rasen Shuriken. That was the technique I was going to use on Madara when I said get clear. Though if you do recreate it, remember not to power it too much, since it can tear the very fabric of space and time, which is how I got here. I overpowered it, and it created a black hole. His parents and the unsealed Kyuubi all stare at him dumbly. Then Minato smiles at him, a proud smile. I'll be sure to add that to the Forbidden Scroll. I'm proud of you, Naruto. I never guessed that you would have finished the I started, but I'm glad you did, and earned a name for yourself. Naruto feels an unfamiliar emotion swell within him. He isn't sure what it is, but it feels incredible. Is this what it is like to be loved by parents? Kushina and Minato see Naruto tear up and hug him like only parents can, and he returns it fully. They ignore the fact half his body is now transparent. Kyuubi can't help but feel touched by the scene. They stand like that until 3/4 of Naruto is gone. He backs up and gives them a true smile, a happy smile. I'm glad I got to meet you two before I go on. I'm not sure what's on the other side, but I'll wait for you guys there. Dad, teach him to be the best shinobi in the history of the elemental nations. They nod, Kushina in tears, as she watches her son disappear. When Naruto's head is only visible, Naruto turns to Kyuubi. Don't live your life in hatred. Kyuubi and me will never admit it, but she regrets living in constant hate, missing opportunities because she loses her temper or she holds a grudge. It is too late for her, but not you. You can still change, and, as much as I dislike Kyuubi from my time, I wouldn't wish a life full of hatred on anyone, even her. So try to find something to live for besides anger and rage. And he is gone. Kushina breaks down, holding on to Minato, as they stare where he was, reflecting on his words. Time skips 16 years. Naruto sits up against a chair in the restaurant he was told to go to. He is a bit early, but figured that early is better than late. He has no idea why he is here, but figures if it wasn't important then there would have been no reason to dress up like he is. Besides yesterday being his birthday. He waits 5 minutes before a drop-dead gorgeous woman plops into the chair opposite of him. He wonders just who this woman with red hair and matching eyes is, as he has never seen her before in his life. She wears a simple green dress that brings out her hair and eye color, but even in that, she looks stunning. Excuse me miss, but I think you have the wrong table. The woman scoffed. No, I have the right table. You're a spitting image of your father. Naruto doesn't seem fazed by that. He hears that from people he doesn't even know all the time. So what of it? I get that a lot. The woman rolls her eyes. Did he tell you nothing? Naruto seems taken aback. He has told me a lot of things, but nothing about meeting a beautiful woman for lunch, only to come here at a certain time, and come dressed nicely. The woman lets out a sigh. So the bastard left me to tell him the details. Lazy ass Hokage. Right, I'll explain in a less crowded place. Let's just eat. I'm in no mood for small talk. Naruto is a little stunned. Usually the women he talks with are reserved, thinking that they can garner favor by seducing him. This woman acts like she doesn't even want to be here. They eat in silence, and once Naruto pays for the bill, she grabs his shoulder rather painfully, and in a blaze of fire, disappears from the restaurant. They appear on top of the Hokage monument with a slightly disoriented Naruto. The woman wastes no time, and starts talking immediately. "Well, that bastard didn't explain things to you, leaving me to fill you in. So here we go. 16 years ago, your father and mother made a deal concerning you, and one other. In exchange for causing massive damage and death on such a large scale, the other was forced to agree to protect the very village this person was trying to destroy. Now the village had wronged this person and wrongly imprisoned her for doing nothing but being forced to be somewhere she didn't want to be. They kept her incarcerated for the next 50 years or so with her limbs strapped down, so she couldn't even move an inch. For 50 years she suffered, barely kept alive, and starved of the most basic needs. Then 16 years ago, she got a chance to escape, and she took it. She walked free for the first time in decades, and relished the cool breeze on her skin and the smell of fresh air. Then the same person who forced her to be in the wrong place the first time came back. He was forced to destroy and kill, but she wanted to. When he died and was free of his control, she kept going, killing and destroying. She poured her hatred and anger into her destruction. But then that bastard showed up. He forced her to stop, to halt her revenge on the ones who kept her in the prison. Instead of a prison of bars, he offered one of servitude and submission. He gave her a choice. Submit or spend the rest of her life in prison. She had done nothing, and yet she is treated like the worst kind of criminal. She took the offer, preferring the warm breeze and open air over cold and dark walls. She was forced to become a servant of the village that hated and scorned her, and she in return was forced to protect it for 16 years, and for another 14 before securing her freedom. But there is one more condition. One that gets her blood boiling to this very day, one that offends above all else. Marriage to one of the wardens' choosing. By this point Kyuubi is seething, as she recalls the events that led up to her current predicament. She forces herself to calm down and school her features. She looks over at Naruto and is genuinely shocked. He is crying, not bawling his eyes out. While telling the story, he could almost feel her emotions as her eyes drilled into his. He could feel her anger, her hatred, her sadness, her desire to be free. It is also sad and depressing that the village would do something like that. When he gets control over himself, he finds the woman with an unreadable expression, something that he can't identify. "The Kyuubi no Yuko, aren't you?" Kyuubi is slightly surprised at this, but isn't too shocked. She had gotten pretty emotional during this story. She released the genjutsu that hides her tails and ears, expecting the same result as the villagers. Oh yes, the villagers know that the Kyuubi walk among them, and they are not too happy about it, and make their displeasure known whenever possible. Minato gets a petition every week to kill her, which is impossible so far, as he knows. Plus it would void their agreement and release her from her end. She is only saved by the fact that they don't know who she really is. She has never shown her tails in public, even in such a place where people are less than sparse. She fully expects to be hated by him too, but when she feels something touch her tails, she jumps and ends up 10 feet away, ready to defend herself. But all she sees is a startled Naruto with his hands still extended. "What were you doing?" she demands, as she drops her guard. "Nothing. I saw your tails, and had an overwhelming sensation to touch them." Kyuubi is a little shocked. No one has dared touch her in the past. "And why would you want to do that?" Naruto shrugs. "Because they look so soft and beautiful," he says casually, like it is the most common thing in the world. He couldn't be further from the truth. Kyuubi is rather startled. No one, not even Kushina, who she has a passing friendship with now, if you could call it that, has said that. Once they learn who she is, they are all frightened to death of her, and rightly so. But this boy in a span of seconds has surprised her twice. "And why would you think they are beautiful? I could kill you in less than a second with them. You know, you have a hard time accepting compliments. I say you're beautiful, and you try to frighten me away. Can I not just appreciate what I see?" Kyuubi feels her emotions flare, but it isn't anger. It is something less primal, less animalistic. She doesn't know what it is, but the feeling is getting stronger, and it scares her. Her fight-or-flight instinct takes hold. So she runs. Naruto watches her disappear in a column of fire, startled and sad that she is gone. His thoughts turn inward to her story, and decides to have a chat with his mother. Hokage Mansion. Naruto walks through the door, intent on seeking his mother out. He doesn't have to look long, as he sees her in the kitchen feeding the twins. Right now she is feeding the oldest one, 4 bottles of warm formula on the table, well 3 since one is being consumed already. Each twin has brown hair and normal baby blue eyes, and are a little on the pudgy side, but what child the age of 5 months isn't? "Hey mom." She turns her head and smiles at him. Call it mother's intuition, but she knows that something is bothering him. Not surprising just who he met with. It is only natural that he has questions. Naruto walks over, grabs the youngest, and proceeds to feed her. He gently rocks back and forth, smiling down at the bundle of joy, as the girl gulps down warm milk. It is hard not to smile at a child when she is staring up at you and reaching for your hair cutely while trying to maintain a grip on the bottle. Hey mom. Later honey. Not where people can over here. He is a little surprised at her heading him off like that. It must be a very sensitive topic. They finish feeding the twins and then carry them up the stairs to the nursery. They get into rocking chairs and proceed to burp the twins. They sit in silence for a little before Kushina speaks up. Your father and I are thinking about adding to the family again. Naruto raises an eyebrow. Don't you think 4 is enough? Kushina shrugs. We'll know the right number when we reach it. Naruto chuckles. I think you just like children when they are this age. Kushina gives him a light glare when the older twin she is holding finally coughs up the extra that wouldn't be digested. She lays him down in a crib and places a blanket over him to keep him warm as Naruto finishes with the girl. He too covers her up and they leave the room and turn off the light. Kushina leads Naruto to the study where there are all kinds of privacy seals and protective seals. They both grab a chair and sit facing each other. Are you going to adopt again? Kushina shakes her head. We are going to try a surrogate mother. While my uterus is practically destroyed, my eggs are still okay. Tsunade has developed a technique that will extract the egg and then fertilize it and then implant the egg into a healthy womb. I may not give birth, but it will be our child. When Kyuubi broke free, she got one last bit of revenge on Kushina. She ruined the uterus, making it impossible to carry a child all the way to birth. When Naruto was 3, they adopted an orphan. Susan, now 15, and just a few months younger than Naruto, has cherry red hair and green eyes. Well, not quite the same as Kushina, some say there is a resemblance to Kushina, even if not related by blood. After that, she and Minato adopted the twins whose mother had died giving birth, who just happened to be a close friend to Minato. Rin had been married, but her husband had been killed in a skirmish between Sana and Iwa, where Konoha had tried to play peacekeeper, not Kakashi. She didn't blame Minato, and even named him the godfather, and Kushina the godmother. Unfortunately, Rin had an unforeseen complication that forced the twins to be born a month early. Apparently, there was an accident where an explosion went off, and she was in the vicinity. She had got a piece of wood through her shoulder, and another one very close to her stomach. She was rushed to the hospital where Tsunade was forced to take the babies out early, before the uterus wall tore completely. Also, the concussive force of the blast made the children shift, making it unsafe to give natural birth. Rin died a few hours later with her children in her arms. That was a year and a half ago. Kakashi had been devastated. He mopped for weeks, and cried himself to sleep every night for a month. Minato was forced to place him on suspension pending physiological evaluation. Back to the story, Naruto looks at his mother, as she relaxes in the chair. So is what she said true? Kushina opens her eyes, but doesn't look at Naruto, instead keeping her head tilted towards the ceiling. What did she tell you? Naruto relays what she said at the restaurant and on the monument. Kushina listens to Naruto. It seems she didn't take his advice to heart. I only hope my Naruto can change her mind. Naruto-kun, she is correct in the fact that we did wrong by her. We didn't even consider that she wasn't a mindless beast that would sooner kill you than talk with you. Yes, we imprisoned her, but for our own safety. She was summoned by someone from Konoha, and would have destroyed it just because of that. She left out that she is responsible for hundreds of deaths that night, and hundreds of thousands of Ryo damage. As a result of her rampage, Kumo tried to kidnap the Haika heir Sonata, because they thought they were weakened by Kyuubi's attack. That nearly sparked a war. If not for your father's reputation, it would have, as he didn't back down. But why force her into that? Wasn't the punishment enough to be in prison for 50 years? Kushina sighs. She had hoped it hadn't come to this. Naruto-kun, I think it is time to tell you of your older brother, and what really happened that night. That night, they all agreed to keep the teenage Naruto a secret, as it would be too difficult to explain. Naruto is confused. Wait, older. You always told me I was your first child. How can you have a child before me then? The night of your birth, your father and I were in a safe house outside of Konoha. I still had Kyuubi sealed within me, but because I was pregnant, the seal was weakening, and I couldn't take the risk of Kyuubi getting out while still in the village. Right after you were born, a man came in and stole you away, and threatened to kill you if Minato didn't stop trying to suppress Kyuubi immediately. That's when you were saved by yourself. Saved by myself? What does that mean? A person looking just like you do, but with whisker marks stepped up and saved you from that man. He then fought him using the Hiraishin, and took him outside to protect me. Unfortunately, while Minato took you to our house, the Kyuubi broke free. Honey, that boy who saved you was you from the future, only things didn't go so well for him. In his life, Minato and I died trying to seal Kyuubi within him, and it worked. But the village hated him. He was treated worse than you could imagine, and had nothing while growing up. No friends, no family, no food or clean water. He was neglected in the academy, and nearly killed by his best friend multiple times. Your brother may not have come from me specifically, but he is every bit my son. I never felt something like that, hearing that he completed your father's Rasengan, and made it into S rank, taming Kyuubis, and saving the elemental nations. She laughs a little at the thought before continuing. He said that he wanted to be the orange Hokage, the combination of the yellow flash, and the red hot-blooded habanero. Naruto listens, and from the sound of it, his older self was a pretty cool guy, but there has to be a point to this. Mom, not that I don't like hearing about him, I don't understand where this is going. Kushina nods, and sits forward, looking directly into his blue eyes. The point, Sachi, son, is that he saved up all that night. He sacrificed his own existence to make ours better. If he had not showed up, you would be living his life all over again. We owe him more than we could ever hope to repay. And when he stopped Kyuubi from attacking Minato, and you, he made a deal with Kyuubi. Wait, she said that it was Dad who did that. Kushina smirks. She did because we all agreed to not talk about him except in private. She doesn't even like to acknowledge that he even existed because it is because of him that she is in our agreement. Anyways, originally he did it just because he wanted to get back the Kyuubi sealed within him. But on top of that, Kyuubi had killed hundreds of people within just 10 minutes, and did years worth of damage. She needed to atone for that. So in exchange for protecting Konoha, and marrying someone of Minato's direction, she would not be sealed, and after 30 years, would be free to go. So what does this have to do with me? Kushina hesitates. Well, I originally wanted Naruto-kun to marry her, but they both vehemently disagreed with that, and Naruto-kun was dying, so that wasn't going to happen. So, in honor of his memory, and since technically the same person, your father, and I decided that she is to marry you. Naruto freezes, not expecting that answer at all. You want me, Naruto Namikaze, to marry her, the Kyuubi no Yuko? Yup. Is there something wrong with that? Of course. She is the hottest woman I've ever seen, no offense, Mom. On top of this, she hates this village, and I remind her of the person she hates most. She is also a woman who was indeed ostracized, but only by her own doing. Your father and I have tried multiple times over the last 16 years to help her. She needs someone to make her realize that there is more to this life than hatred and revenge, and I believe that you were able to do that. And yes, she is hot. I cuffed Minato on the back of the neck in jealousy when I saw her for the first time. I thought that he had abducted a goddess. Your nervousness around her because of her looks will fade with time. Hell, even I was curious as to how good she would be in bed. Minutes pass in silence. Naruto's face goes red, and redder, and redder. His face is now the same shade as Kushina's hair. Suddenly he rockets back, the chair hitting, and denting the wall because of the force of his nosebleed. When he regains his senses, he looks at his mother. You said it was. Does that mean you know you too? Kushina's face has a confused look when she gets it. Why? Does that turn you on? Naruto's eyes bulge out. Gross, you my mother. How's that hot? Kushina face pouts. So what you're saying is that I'm not pretty or good looking? Naruto growls. I'm not playing this game with you. Do you know how sick that is? Kushina laughs at his outraged expression. I'm sorry, but that was too good to pass up. And no, we didn't. I lost interest when I saw how much of a stick in the mud she was. Anyways, how did your time with her end? Naruto shrugs, and tells her what happened. I don't know what made her leave like that. I hope that I didn't make her angry. Kushina is deep in thought. I think she is just scared. From your description of how she tensed when you said her tales were beautiful, I think she is feeling emotion she hasn't felt before in a long time. Just give her time. Listen to Sachi-kun. Your father and I will give you both time to get to know each other before the wedding. It will be just our family, and it won't be fancy. Kyuubi probably won't want you to kiss her then, so we won't force her. After that you both are free to live here. That's okay. I make enough on my Jnin salary that I can afford an apartment. I'll do it because you and Dad want me to, but I still don't feel right about forcing her into this. Kushina smiles. I know, and that's one of the things that make you unique. Just give her time. She isn't going to change her mind in just a few days, okay? Just keep trying. I have a feeling she will try her hardest to scare you off. As her feelings grow, it will only get worse, and it will continue until she accepts her feelings. I know we are asking a lot of you, but please give it a try. She is very lonely, and needs to be given a reason to live rather than hatred. Naruto gives her a heart-warming smile, and stands. You convince me. Kushina smiles, and rises to hug him tightly. Thank you. You've made me so proud of Naruto. I know you can do this. Oh, and don't mention your older brother to anyone, okay? Time skip 1 year, and some months. And fight him she does. After 6 months of dating, Naruto and Kyuubi were married in a private ceremony in the Hokage office. The twins were held by Kushina and Susan, though she couldn't believe that her brother got such a hot woman to marry him at 16 no less. But her bubble burst when Kyuubi took off the second Minato said husband and wife. She had asked a lot of uncomfortable questions, as she didn't know that Naruto's now wife is the Kyuubi no Yuko. So for the longest time, she believed that Naruto knocked her up and got her pregnant. until she saw no bulge or any sign of pregnancy from the woman over the months afterwards when she came with Naruto to visit, which was rare for her, exceedingly so. Kushina has seen her maybe 3 times since the wedding. Kyuubi would pick a fight or try to pick a fight with Naruto every day, only for Naruto to say something sweet and make Kyuubi take off. They shared the apartment, but not a room. Every morning, Naruto would get up and make breakfast for the two of them, and she isn't one to pass up free meals, when most of it consists of meat that isn't cooked all the way through, just the way she likes it. Of course, she tried to get past that too. She would get up earlier and earlier, trying to wake up and get out of the house before breakfast was ready, but no matter how early, he always had breakfast ready with a smile on his face. Naruto makes the perfect housewife, doing literally everything like cleaning, laundry, cooking, grocery shopping, all while he is in the village. He even sits for his mother when she needs it. Kyuubi continues to belittle his efforts and tries to make him leave. She makes cutting remarks and degrading comments. She even tries to sabotage on occasion. It got so bad that Kyuubi stopped coming home, instead staying out all day and all night. It wasn't until Naruto showed up, looking very concerned and dragging her back to the apartment, that she came home. Right now he is at his parents' home, asking for advice. I don't know what to do anymore. I try and I try, but the only thing I get is cold glares and condescending words. Kushina hugs Naruto, knowing that he is trying his very best. She knows it isn't easy, in fact it is probably one of the hardest things he will ever do. Last night she said that she wished she had picked a seal all those years ago, because I am making her life a living hell. Then she threw the food on the floor and stomped to her room, and I haven't seen her since. And then Naruto breaks down. Over the past couple months, he has grown to respect and have feelings for her. Every once in a while, she would show a bit of emotion other than anger, and it drew him in light from bug to bug zapper. She has no idea how much it hurts to say that she wished that she had never met him, or that he is only making things worse, or that he should give up. SHHH, I know. Naruto, if I had known that it would hurt you this much to do this, I never would have asked you to do this. She lets Naruto cry on her for a half hour or so before he stops. Thanks mom, I needed that. He smiles a watery smile at her. But I'm not giving up, but I want to do it so badly. I just want the pain to stop. Naruto continues to draw comfort from his mother, just like he always has. His mind rolls around with the painful moments from this past year. Flashback. Naruto walks into the apartment completely drained and exhausted. He just got back from a delivery mission to Iwa, only to be chased almost all the way to Konoha by Iwa missing Nin, determined to get revenge. After giving the report to his dad, he trudges home to a belligerent Kyuubi. He doesn't want to fight with her, especially not now. He opens the door and quietly sneaks in. The light is off, and he soundlessly moves to his room to pass out. He freezes when the light flickers on, and sitting there is Kyuubi. Oh, come back to torture me some more. God, why don't you just die on one of these missions? Naruto feels a hot knife pierce his skin, and straight through his heart. Any retort he has to eyes and the sadistic grin on Kyuubi's face. She's enjoying this. Oh, no witty comeback, no kind words of encouragement. I see now. I knew you could never care for me. You're just like the villagers, all you see are my tails, and nothing more. Naruto bites his lip so hard it makes him bleed. But he feels no pain from the lip because there is too much in his heart. He just turns away, and drags his tired body away towards his room, unable to bear the torment anymore. Running away, I see. Well, I guess we know what happens when things get tough. You're spineless, cowardly, and uncaring just like the rest of this shithole. The moment my 30 years is up, you're the first one I'll kill. Then flashback. She's right. I am a coward. Kushina hates to see her son like this, and it is her fault for underestimating just how vicious Kyuubi's taunts and comments could be. I'm so sorry, Sachi-kun. Naruto hears Kushina cry, and only holds her closer. Eventually Naruto gets up. Thanks mom. I should get home, he says wearily. Kushina reaches for his hand, and holds it for a second. If you ever need anywhere to stay, you are always welcome here. Time skip 1 month. Naruto collapses on his bed after a particularly vicious bout with Kyuubi. She continues to degrade him, and put not only him, but his family and friends down. A loud banging on his door is all the warning he gets before his door is blasted inward. You, boy, when is dinner? Naruto groans. Make it yourself. I'm tired of cooking for you. Kyuubi raises an eyebrow. Oh, showing your true colors now are you? I knew you would eventually. I mean you are cut from the same cloth as that. Naruto is instantly in front of her, giving her the coldest glare he ever has. You finish that sentence, and I will kick your ass. I'm tired of you constantly berating me, and my family when all we have ever tried to do is help you. Kyuubi is slightly taken aback by his standing up to her, as he never has before. He always took what she gave him, and more. But it just means that she is close to making him cave completely. Her plan is finally making progress. Step 1. Get under his skin to the breaking point complete. Step 2. Pick a fight with him, and get his emotions boiling in progress. Step 3. Make him move out. Step 4. Make him give up. Staying true to her plan, she eggs him on the only way she knows how. Oh, and I suppose locking me away is helping me. Naruto pulls his hair. Dear God, do you ever let the past go? You know, you and the villagers should hate the party seeing how you both can't let something that happened longer than I've been alive go. Kyuubi is shocked that he would compare her to those blasted villagers. You dare compare me to those hateful and unforgiving bastards when they started this whole thing. I'm nothing like them, and never will be. Really? Then how would you describe yourself? Virtuous. All-knowing. Pure. Because you couldn't be further than the truth. You are spiteful, hurtful, malevolent, condescending, arrogant, and a whole list of other words. Kyuubi smirks inwards. She has him where she wants him. If I'm so bad, then why are you still here? If I'm so hurtful, then why do you put up with me? You should just leave, or better yet die. Naruto's breath catches in his chest. Do you really mean that? Kyuubi is genuinely shocked. She was sure that would have made him boil over. Of course. You're the bane of my existence. Naruto slumps to his knees and breaks down again, unable to keep his anger on her. Kyuubi doesn't know what to do. Never before has he been this broken. Usually he would drag himself to his room or to his parents, but either way, she never saw him cry. That doesn't mean that she didn't want to cry every time she made those remarks. She could see the hurt look in his eyes after every hurtful thing she said. She always told herself that hurting him is better than whatever this feeling is constantly growing. Using that, she always kept her composure, her cold demeanor towards him. Sometimes it would slip, but for the most part, she is colder than liquid nitrogen. But seeing him break down because she said she wished him death nearly makes her break down and go to him. It takes all she has not to run to him and hug him to death. Truth is, she had fallen for him quite some time ago, but she is very afraid. Never before in her centuries of living has she felt like this. Her stomach drops every time he does something nice for her, like make her breakfast or make her bath ready. It warms her heart, much to her fear, every time he comes home and greets her. When he came to find her when she ran away, she nearly jumped him then and there. But these emotions and the situation in general scare her. She should be angry, she has every right to be angry. But she isn't. She can't bring herself to be angry at him anymore. At first it was genuine anger and hatred, but this Naruto is very different from the one who came up with the idea to be Konoha's slave. In fact, he is innocent in this, as much as she hates to admit it. But she forces herself to focus on the task at hand. She has finally broken him. Now is the time to act if she is to get out of this. Why are you crying? She curses her uncooperative voice. I would have thought you would have run to mommy and dad. Naruto looks up at her with teary eyes, and she feels her determination waver. Her knees go weak, but she locks them to prevent herself from falling down. Why, you ask? Because unlike you, I care. I have a heart. Because of our relationship, I actually came to respect you. I came to like you more than just a friend. I want to make things work, but I'm at my limit. This time Kyuubi's breath catches, and while the cutting remarks hurt, she is focusing on the latter half. Despite all I've done, he still wants to be with me. How can he say that? I'm sorry. That was unfair of me, but I'm just tired of the fights, of the insults, of the pain. I can't take it anymore. Tell me to go one more time, and I'll do it, and you'll never see me again. Kyuubi is stunned at his words. Kami, I've hurt him so much. He even apologized for his hurtful words. He must think I'm a monster. That thought disturbs her more than she ever thought it would. Unknown to her, tears start leaking out of her eyes, startling Naruto, as he continues to gaze at her with a teary expression, fully expecting to be harassed again. But this is it. All I have to do is tell him one more time, and I'll be free. She looks up at him, and opens her mouth, but the words don't come. Her traitorous vocal cords refuse to speak the words her brain wants. If you saw yes, you will regret it for the rest of eternity. Right here in front of you is a man willing to still be by your side even after everything you have done to him. Kyuubi wonders about the voice at the back of her mind, but puts the voice's advice aside, and again opens her mouth. You do this, and you will break his heart. Can you do it? Can you break this man for your own selfish reasons? Can you bring yourself to kill the emotions of a man who has shown you nothing but kindness and compassion when you don't deserve it? Can you lie to yourself and deny yourself what you know to be right? Kyuubi considers the voice, all the while tears continue unabated down her face. I must not continue with these emotions. They are frightening. Letting someone in is always frightening. Why do you think he is crying over you? He let you in, and you continue to tear him down. There is only so much one can take, and if you go through with this, he will never open up to you again. Despite your age, you know nothing. You have lived a sad existence, and if you break this man you will never have another chance of happiness. Think carefully on this, because more than you know is riding on this decision. The voice goes quiet for the last time, leaving Kyuubi to ponder the voice's words. Is that what they call consciousness? In front of her, Naruto is gaining hope. He fully expected Kyuubi to immediately lash out and tell him to get out of her sight. When the tears came, he wanted to comfort her, but knew that would make things worse, as she would think he is trying to make a woman feel or seduce her. His eyes gain a glimmer of hope. Maybe what his mother said is true, that the more she feels, the harder she will push. Go. And he is crushed. His eyes water again, but he holds them back, as he kills his emotions to blunt the impact of her rejection. Her eyes look directly into his, and he can see the hesitancy, but she has spoken, and he promised. Without a word, he stands, and goes to the door, and grips the handle. He looks back, and turns back to her. Goodbye. Kyuubi watched, as her one word ripped his hope to shreds, and saw the profound sadness cross his face. Then it is gone, replaced with a mask of indifference. It kills her to see that mask on him, it just doesn't belong. That pushes her control to the brink, the urge to hug and kiss him is stronger than ever before. She watches, as he crosses the room without a word, without a fight. She almost wishes that he would get angry. That way there would be some emotion, but nothing. He just accepted it without question. Then he spoke one word. One word breaks her, and realization, and pain like never before shoots through her heart. I'm never going to see him again. A sword could bisect her in half, and it wouldn't hurt as much as thinking that he would be gone forever. She can't take it anymore. Moving faster than she ever has, she is across the room, and her arms around his neck before he can even turn the handle. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Please don't leave me, she repeats over and over. Naruto is stunned, or would have been if his emotions were running correctly. Instead his body reacts on its own. He hugs her back fiercely. I'm sorry. Kyuubi waves aside his apology. It's fine. I can't believe my first time was almost a mindless romp. Naruto nods his head in agreement and flops on the bed, no longer afraid to lose himself anymore. Before long, Kyuubi curls up next to him, and they hold on to each other for comfort. Needless to say that both are emotionally exhausted, and they quickly drift off to sleep in each other's arms. Next morning, Naruto wakes feeling tired and drained, not something that is out of the norm lately. He tries to move, but finds the object of his mental torment sleeping soundly on his chest. He has a moment of panic before remembering just what happened last night. He finds himself too tired to get up, and too awake to go to sleep. So instead he does something he has been doing too much of lately. He thinks and starts to sort things out. An hour later, Kyuubi wakes feeling tired as well, but unlike Naruto, she isn't used to it. She snuggles closer into her pillow, but finds it rising and falling, much like a person. Her eyes fly open, and sits straight up, and sees she indeed was using Naruto as a pillow. Her cheeks burn bright red in embarrassment, and just what they did last night. Naruto, I'm ashamed of myself, and how I treated you. Naruto keeps quiet. I know that I don't deserve to even be here after I said so many hurtful things. I was afraid, and still am. You have to believe me that it hurts me to say those things to you. I'm still afraid, but I'm willing to try. Naruto looks at her, pain clear as day in them. So can you forgive me? I promise to never hurt you again. She smiles softly. I remember when you made me breakfast. It made me feel special, and when you came looking for me, I felt wanted. You kept trying, and that made me love you. I know I don't deserve a second chance, but if you let me, you won't regret it. Naruto looks at her surprised. He didn't think he would ever hear those words from her mouth, and yet, it feels like she is gutting him over and over. I'm afraid of these feelings, but I'm even more afraid of losing you. Naruto lowers his head, hiding his eyes. I'm sorry. I can't. Kyuubi's world comes crashing down. She was sure he would agree. There's only so much one can take, and if you go through with this, he will never open up to you again. The words from last night from her consciousness float back to her mind. I can't do this. You confessing feels like you're gutting out my insides over and over again. When I cooked for you, you felt special while I felt pain from you trying to get up earlier just to avoid me. When I came looking for you, you felt wanted. I remember feeling like dying because you ran away from me. Every experience you say only brings me back to a painful memory, and I won't subjugate myself to that kind of torture. I'm sorry, but we can't go back. I can't forgive. There is too much to forgive, too much to forget. Kyuubi has tears sliding down her cheeks. Her chest contracts, and makes her heart hurt more than she ever thought possible, eclipsing even the pain from last night tenfold. But she brought this upon herself. She has no right to complain or fight it. She doesn't deserve a second chance, and that is exactly what she is getting. As more tears run down her flawless face, she gets up from the bed, and moves to the entryway, as the door is still across the room. Where are you going? He asks softly. She looks back at him, but her eyes don't meet him. Away. You have made your decision, and I'm getting exactly what I deserve, and I'll be punished for all eternity for what I did to you. I'll never forget you, Naruto, you who won my heart, but allowed me to crush yours in the process. Kyuubi turns away, and walks to the hall. Kyuubi. She turns around, and finds Naruto standing right behind her, startling her a bit. I did say that I can't forgive you, but I didn't say that we couldn't start over, a clean slate. We can't go back, so the only option is forward. He holds out his hand. Namikaze Naruto. Kyuubi looks at him, shocked, but isn't going to waste this. He is giving her a second chance, and she isn't going to ruin it this time. She grabs his hand and shakes it. Kyuubi no Yuko. Well, Miss Yuko, would you do me the pleasure of joining me for breakfast in the village? She smiles. I'd love to. Time skip 2 months. Over the next 2 months, Kyuubi has opened up considerably. Kyuubi took that second chance and ran with it. They had a shared meal every day, usually lunch. While they started over, they still live together, but they still have their respective rooms. Kyuubi has picked up a lot of slack around the house. Taking cooking lessons from Naruto and Kushina, doing laundry, splitting the chore of cleaning with Naruto, it goes a lot faster with her prehensile tales. She even visits her former container a lot more, who is very happy to see Kyuubi finally accept her feelings, even if it is just another form of fear. Kyuubi opens up to Kushina about more than just her feelings. She asks for advice and help with learning a few things and what to get Naruto since Kushina knows him best. As an apology, Kyuubi fixed Kushina's uterus, made possible by the fact that her body is used to Kyuubi's and able to resist the harmful effects. Not a month later, it is confirmed that Kushina is pregnant again, and she and Minsto couldn't be happier. Naruto and Kyuubi had kissed earlier in the month, and they make out on a regular basis, but nothing past that. Their relationship is progressing very well. But Kyuubi still feels guilty about what she tried to do, and how she almost succeeded, requiring Naruto to reassure her that it was a past life, and water under the bridge. It doesn't matter what she said or did, but Kyuubi has vowed to make him happy to make up for it, whatever the cost. Now Kyuubi is waiting at one of the best restaurants in the village at dinner time. She is dressed up with a light coat of makeup, lip gloss, and eyeshadow, and fidgeting with so many people staring at her. She wonders where he is since he usually beats her to the meeting point, unless of course they are going together, usually hand in hand. Then Naruto enters, and she calms. He sits, and flashes her a smile that makes her stomach flutter. Sorry I'm late, I had to pick something up. Kyuubi accepts the offered explanation, as he hasn't lied to her yet. No problem. What did you pick up? Naruto dodges the questions by asking her how her day was going. Why did he dodge my question? Is he hiding something? The waiter arrives, and takes their orders. They make small talk, all the while Kyuubi wondering why he wouldn't tell her what he got. With that thought, she didn't have a good time, being too distracted. When their food arrives, silence ensues, as they eat. Naruto doesn't speak another word during the dinner. He pays for the dinner, and they leave, and Naruto leads them, but not in the direction of their apartment. The whole while, Kyuubi's thoughts are of the not so upbeat kind. What if he doesn't want me anymore? What if this whole thing was just a way to get back at me? Their thoughts are broken up when Naruto speaks for the first time since they ate. Hey Kyu, Mom is wondering if you would be the godmother of the latest addition to my family. Kyuubi is touched that her now sister figure would pick her. Of course. I would love to. Naruto smiles gratefully, and takes her hand in his. But she does more than that, and hugs his arm into her bust, not minding at all that his arm is firmly squished between her rupai, and Naruto doesn't appear to care one way or another, as well. They walk in silence, Naruto still leading Kyuubi who is just tagging along, some mysterious thing pulling her along. Suddenly Naruto speaks up again, but only when they reach a park where he sits her on a bench right next to him. I've been thinking about Kyu, about the future. I've been thinking about what I want, and what is best for me. I've been thinking about my older brother, and what he wanted for me, and you. I've been thinking about my parents, and what they want for me. And honestly, the current arrangement we have, I feel that it isn't appropriate anymore. Kyuubi looks confused, revealing that she actually is. She keeps her negative thoughts away for now, opting to not assume the worst, and wait for him to tell her what he means. Naruto looks nervous, and nearly does his nervous tick where he scratches the back of his head, but instead puts his hand in his pocket. I've been thinking a lot, and I've decided what is best for myself. Kyuubi stops breathing when Naruto gets down on one knee, and pulls out a satin case, and opens it, showing a golden ring with several small, but genuine diamonds along the band. Her hands shoot to her face, as she tries to keep in the tears. Kyuubi, will you marry me, this time with your consent? Her only answer is to crush him in a hug, and kiss him silly. There are several wolf calls from the surrounding people in the park, and Kyuubi flips them off before they both disappear in her own unique version of a shunshin. They appear in their apartment, and they break away. Naruto smiles, as he lifts the ring to her left, and hand slips it on. When they were officially married almost a year and a half ago, Kyuubi outright refused to wear a ring, and threatened to melt any that got close to her. She shakes her hands around his neck, and pulls him to her, as she admires the ring on her finger. It is a perfect fit, which makes her wonder just how he got a ring size. But she decides that is a question for later. Right now all she wants is the man in front of her. Time skip 1 year. Over the last year, they had a marriage ceremony for semantics, and now Kyuubi sports 2 rings on her left ring finger. Their relationship had only gotten closer ever since then. Neither go anywhere without the other, even to Naruto's parents to help take care of the 3 children. Kushina named their newest child Naomi, and both Minato and Kushina love her almost as much as Naruto, who had been the clear favorite when Susan and Naruto grew up, not that they allowed that to influence their decisions. The twins were now almost toddlers, and got into all kinds of trouble, even with Susan there to help out. Kyuubi finds that she enjoys being around children, something awakening her maternal instincts. Naruto, do you remember the conversation we had a while ago? Kyuubi says while looking away. The one where I got this? He is referring to the mate mark Kyuubi gave him. Kyuubi nods, and Naruto smiles. Of course I do. Remember when you asked if I could have children? And I said I didn't know. Naruto nods into the back of her head, smelling her unique shampoo. Well, I've decided that I want to try to have one. Naruto's heart skips a beat. Do you really mean it? Kyuubi spins around to face him, and thumps his nose. Of course I do. Would I lie about something as important as this? Naruto rubs his nose before touching her forehead with his. Of course not. I just had to be sure. Kyuubi smiles at him, and kisses him briefly. I know how much you want one, and being around Naomi and the twins so much made me realize just how much I want one of my own. Naruto rubs her cheek lovingly. And I would love to oblige. You know I can't say no to you. Kyuubi gains a wicked smirk. You know we should probably get some practice with the process of making a child some more. Naruto returns her smirk and tries to roll on top of her, but Kyuubi isn't having any of that. You're always on top. Now it's my turn. The howls of pleasure from both of them can be heard clearly to the other side of the apartment, to which they receive many complaints about the noise, as erotic as they may be. Time skip 2 months. Kyuubi growls, as the most recent pregnancy test still shows up negative. Damn it. He has been pumping me full of his semen almost non-stop these past few months, and nothing. And lots of practice they have had. They have had sex every day, sometimes twice a day, all unprotected. Kushina is excited to get a grandchild that she can spoil rotten, even though she still has 3 children of her own to take care of, leaving Naruto with a firm belief that she really does indeed enjoy children at this age. Maybe it is something with me, as I don't even know if it is possible to get pregnant. I should go to Tsunade. A few days later, she walks into an examination room, and waits for Tsunade to enter. She is quite nervous about this, as she has never gotten an exam before. But she trusts Tsunade since she has never been hostile towards herself, i.e. towards Kyuubi. A few minutes later Tsunade enters the room. Good morning Kyuubi-san. What can I help you with? Kyuubi has nerves all over again. Well Naruto, and I think this is a bit awkward. Tsunade nods, and remains completely professional. That's okay. You don't know me all that well, and I don't know you. You can tell me anything you want to. Kyuubi nods her head, and calms her nerves. Well, Naruto and I are trying to have a child, but I don't even know if I can get pregnant. We've been trying for the past few months, and yet I'm not pregnant yet, and I came here to see if I can even have children. Tsunade nods, and makes a few notes on her chart. Alright. What I want to do is run a few medical tests to see if your uterus is healthy, if you have one. I also want to perform a gynecological exam. All the while, I'll ask you questions about your sex life. You don't have to answer if you don't want to, but I'm only going to ask because it will help my assessment. Okay. Kyuubi nods her understanding, still feeling nervous about this whole thing. Okay, I'll step out while you put on this gown here. When Kyuubi is done, Tsunade has her lie down on the examination table. She runs through a few hand signals before her hands turn a bluish-green color, and directs her hands over Kyuubi's stomach. How long have you been trying to conceive? About 2 months. How often do you engage in sexual activity? Kyuubi gains a blush, but fights it down. Every day, sometimes multiple times a day. Tsunade shoots her a surprised look. Kami, how's that boy not dead? Tsunade has a tint of pink on her cheeks, but schools herself quickly. Are you on any birth control? Kyuubi shakes her head. Do you or Naruto have any diseases that either of you know of? Again Kyuubi shakes her head. Tsunade opens her mouth to ask another question when she abruptly closes it. She focuses her hands over one spot, and closes her eyes in concentration. Kyuubi catches the look, and watches Kyuubi closely. What is it? Did you find something wrong with me? She asks fearfully. Instead of answering Tsunade cuts her, and makes more hand seals. This time, her hands glow purple, and put them over the same spot, as before. Now Kyuubi gets worried. What did you find? No answer, and Kyuubi loses her patience. What the fuck did you find? Tsunade jumps slightly at her shout, and cuts the, and turns to Kyuubi. Did you know that you were already pregnant? Kyuubi's anger is gone in an instant. Well what? Tsunade nods. You have a fetus growing within you, and I cannot absolutely determine the age of the fetus, but I can tell you a few things. The baby is healthy, the baby is half human, half kitsune, and the baby was conceived over a year ago from what I can tell from the structure of the uterus, and hormone levels, though those are nowhere accurate. I can't tell you more than that because I am completely at a loss for basic physiology. Kyuubi only half listens. I'm pregnant. We are going to have a child. Kyuubi throws her arms around Tsunade and thanks her profusely. She pulls back and lets her go, and a thought enters her brain. But how? I tested thoroughly, and all the tests came up negative. And what about the symptoms? I'm pretty sure I didn't have those. Those are meant for humans, not kitsune. It is possible that kitsune have a completely different chemical composition than humans when pregnant. I'm not surprised when they didn't show up positive. And, as for the symptoms, it is the same thing. You were looking for human reactions to being pregnant, not kitsune. I have no idea the kinds of symptoms they have while pregnant. Kyuubi gives a squeal of happiness at Tsunade is dispelling her questions, and is about to get off the table, but Tsunade's voice stops her. I know you are excited, and what to tell him, but I still have a few questions, and I would like to give you an examination. I've got no records for you, and I would like you to visit regularly to keep track of the pregnancy. Though, you can come back later this week if you wish. Kyuubi sits, but it is clear that she is impatient. Do you know anything about pregnancy for a bitch? Kyuubi shakes her head. From the purple one, I scanned your baby, and the area around your baby. I found that the uterus wall is about what a woman at almost full term would be, as well as the hormone levels. I don't know if that is something specific to bitch or if you really have been pregnant for a while. Did anything happen 12 months ago or so? Kyuubi thinks back, but the only thing that she can think of as noteworthy is when she marked Naruto. The only thing I can think of is about 14 months ago or so when I had for the first time with Naruto, I bit down on the space between his neck and shoulder, which gave him a mate mark for lack of a better word. I don't know what came over me when I did it. It just happened. Apparently when it did happen, Naruto said he came again. Tsunade thought for a second. Before that happened, did he ejaculate before? Kyuubi blushes, but nods. 3 times, but it was all within a span of days. But something was different after I bit him. His semen felt well different from any other time even after. It was like the semen moved more. Tsunade cocks her head to the side for a moment. That mate mark, as you put it, must have done something different. Have you ever heard of the Kami clan? Kyuubi nods. I've heard of them, though they died out before the Second Shinobi War. Tsunade nods. That's correct. I've read a few journals from my sensei that the Inizuka clan came from this clan, and separated when they had a disagreement that animals are just tools to be used, and not cherished like a partner. Anyways, the Kami clan was much more feral than what the Inizuka are now. The scrolls I read detailed several of their practices and rituals. One of which was their mating ritual. It states that a clan member cannot get pregnant, and by proxy, give birth, until they are marked by their mate. Did you transfer any into Naruto when this happened? Kyuubi immediately nods. I don't remember doing it, but Naruto said he felt me put you into the bite. Tsunade gets an I got an idea face. I think your mate mark is just that. With you being however old you are, you could be the most closely related to an animal to ever walk the planet, sans the other bitch. I think your mark acted just like the Kami mark works, only your body made sure that it would get pregnant then, and there that one time, hence why you haven't felt the same thing since. Or it could be that his mark knows you're pregnant to begin with, and kills the sperm to begin with. The woman mull over what Tsunade just said. The more Kyuubi thinks about it, the more she finds herself agreeing with Tsunade's theory. So that's one mystery solved. Yes, but the others will literally have to be solved as this pregnancy develops. We have no data on bitch human crosses, and from what you have told me, you don't either. With your permission, I would like to document this, and study this more in detail, in case you get pregnant again. We can know something to expect. She thinks about it, and gives her consent. On one hand, she doesn't want to be a medical student in her own right. However, it also means that if anything goes wrong, then they will be very quick to know about it. She will be poked and prodded in places that Naruto doesn't want to be except by Naruto, and examined more closely than she ever wants to be. But she will do anything to make sure this child makes it through, even if she has to suffer a major annoyance. Tsunade smiles at Kyuubi. It is clear that Kyuubi isn't comfortable with the prospect, but she on the other hand is ecstatic at the chance to pioneer a new segment in human medicine. I know you aren't going to be comfortable, but I promise to keep your privacy, as much as we can, and make it as less of an inconvenience as possible. She gets a grateful look from Kyuubi, who starts fidgeting. I can see you want to get out of here. I can hold off on the exam for a while, so schedule another appointment for later this week, and I'll see you then. Kyuubi almost jumps off the table, and rushes to get dressed, not even waiting for Tsunade to leave the room. That forces her to keep the door closed, and enjoy the show. She watches Kyuubi chuck the medical gown, and quickly don her clothes. Tsunade is slightly jealous over Kyuubi's godlike body, and an eternal one at that. Kyuubi doesn't even notice Tsunade's gaze, and dresses in record time, and exits the room without even saying goodbye. Tsunade blinks, and leaves the room, wishing that she had that kind of body. With Kyuubi. Once out of the hospital, Kyuubi disappears in her shunshin, and appears where she knows Naruto will be. His parents' house, just like every day when he doesn't have a mission or something to do at home. She appears outside the door, and enters, and quickly goes up the stairs to the playroom. True to form, Naruto is playing with the twins with Kushina breastfeeding her child in the corner with a towel over the feasting child. Naruto and Kushina look up and smile at Kyuubi as she enters, though both see something different about her than normal. Naruto is confused while Kushina recognizes that look. She has had it twice in her life. Naruto, I need to talk to you. A little startled by the urgency and excitement in her voice, he quickly gets off the floor. Sure. He gets up and walks out of the room and follows Kyuubi into one of the spare bedrooms. You know, there is something different about you. It's like you have this sort of glow about you. What happened? Something wonderful. I went to Tsunade this morning to see how you are, and I haven't had any luck. I went to see if I could have children. Naruto's face perks up. And you can? He asks hopefully. Kyuubi nods. But that isn't what is so exciting. I'm already pregnant. Naruto hears the words and does what any male would do if he faints. After a quick panic from Kyuubi, she finds that he is just unconscious. She moves him completely onto the bed and curls up next to him and waits for him to wake up. She doesn't wait long, as he wakes about 5 minutes later and finds Kyuubi's red eyes looking softly into his. He smiles and kisses her on the forehead. You know, I had a dream that you said that you were pregnant. I didn't want to wake from that dream. Kyuubi giggles again. Then it is a good thing it isn't a dream. I really am pregnant. Naruto freezes and makes Kyuubi afraid that he is going to faint again, but he suddenly scoops her up and hugs her right away. He laughs, which makes Kyuubi's heart flutter with happiness, and she hugs him back. She scoots up and kisses him fiercely. How long are you? Can you tell the gender? I hope it's a daughter. What are we going to name her? The questions roll off his tongue the second they break the kiss. Kyuubi looks away slightly, making Naruto stop his rant. Kai-chan, what's wrong? Kyuubi looks back at the concerned look in her husband's face. She tells him what Tsunade said about just how long she has been pregnant and that the child is going to be half kitsune, half human. Naruto clearly sees that she is worried about his reaction. He draws Kyuubi closer and whispers intimately into her. I knew that our child wouldn't be human from the start, so don't worry about that. As for how long you've been pregnant, that doesn't really matter, only that you are. That just means that this baby will be unique in more than one way. Kyuubi gives him a teary-eyed smile and tenderly kisses him again. So do we know what gender our baby is yet? Kyuubi goes stiff. I'm sorry. That never even entered my head. It's alright, I was just asking. Do you want to tell Mom? Kyuubi nods. It isn't like it is going to be kept a secret for long anyways. Naruto sits up with her still in his lap, and he leads her out of the room with his hand in hers back to the playroom. Along the way, she lets out her tails and ears, as the twins love to play with them, not to mention the fact that they are extremely soft. They enter the room, and Kushina looks up from her book and over her reading glasses, now that Naomi is done feeding, and has been burped, and is now sleeping in her room with a baby monitor. As soon as Kyuubi entered with her tails out, the twins dropped whatever they were doing, and ran over to play with a tail or two. So how did he take it? Both looked shocked, making Kushina chuckle. I recognize that glow, and look. I had it twice myself, remember? When are you going to tell the family? Naruto looks at Kyuubi, who looks back. I guess tonight, if that is fine. Though we will have to explain to Susan about me, as she still doesn't know. Kushina nods. It is about time she knows anyway. She is going to be pissed because we haven't told her, but your father and I will deal with that. It isn't on you two, so don't feel sorry. That being said, Kushina gets up and hugs both of them lovingly. Then she jumps in the air. Yes. I'm going to be a grandma. Kyuubi and Naruto help Kushina make a large dinner, and they make sure that everyone has the night off. Kushina even threatened Minato with no sex for a month if he misses dinner. Jiraiya and Tsunade are invited along with Kakashi. One by one the guests arrive, and dinner is served at 7. About halfway through, Naruto gets everyone's attention. I'm glad you all made it, and Caillou and I have an announcement. He looks to Kyuubi, who makes a go-on signal. He smiles and turns back to the family. We're having a baby. The table erupts with cheers and congratulations. When Jiraiya asks when the due date is, things get tense, though only the 4 who knew before just now know why. Kushina nods to Minato, and then again at Kyuubi. Said Hokage sighs and speaks up. Susan, there is something you don't know. Your mother and I are sorry to have kept this from you for so long, but we felt the fewer that know the better. Naruto's wife isn't human. Caillou, if you would. Kyuubi then lets out her tails and ears, making Susan's eyes go wide. The conversation stops as they look at Susan. Suddenly she stands and slams her hands on the table, making the twins cry. You mean to Kyuubi no Yuko, murder of hundreds, responsible for almost killing not only you and Mom, but also Naruto Nai-chan. Then the room grows cold, but not from Kyuubi. Kushina eyes her adoptive daughter with a cold eye, and makes Susan unconsciously shiver. You don't mess with Kushina when she is angry, as rare as it is. Susan Emikis, since when have I raised you to think in such a way? She prepares to go on when Kyuubi steps in. Kushina-chan, please. Kushina gives Kyuubi a cold glare too before softening and giving her an apologetic look. Susan, you are completely right. I am a murderer, and I almost did kill your family 18 years ago. There is nothing that I did to deserve the love of your brother or the sisterly relationship I have with your mother. At first I was very angry, and I lashed out at everything and anything. Naruto can attest to just how much I hurt him. I don't deserve his love, but he gives it to me anyways, and you have no idea how grateful I am of that. He broke me of my hatred by bearing it all, and making me see that there is more to life than anger and revenge. He saw a change in me right over a year ago. Before that, did you see your brother very happy? That was because I was making him miserable. Our marriage wasn't something that I agreed to at first, and didn't accept until over a year afterwards. I was hateful, hypocritical, angry, and I took it out all on him. She takes his hand in hers, and smiles at him. But now, I can't imagine life without him. He is as much a part of me, as I am of him. We both have wanted a child for a while now since your mother had Naomi-chan. And now we are going to have one, and we both are very happy. Susan doesn't know how to respond to that. She can clearly see that they love each other very much. So she sits, and opts to glare at them all, but a glare from her mother stops that, as well as promising a very long conversation with her mother once this is over. So when is this child of my godchild due? Kyuubi shrugs. Neither Tsunade nor I know. This is the first time I have heard of a bitch being pregnant. Our baby is half human and half kitsune, and with him or her being like me, the development rate is something that Tsunade can't predict. Though I am allowing her to document this pregnancy only because if something does happen, we will know about it very quickly with weekly visits, sonograms, and exams. Naruto squeezes her hand that never found its way out of his. He knows just how much this is going to suck for her. She is such a private person, even with him. He hadn't known where she was going this morning, though she is getting better. Dinner after that is light and polite, asking things like gender, and other details like does the child have tails. Though Tsunade is keeping her lips tightly sealed until she gets a more detailed exam of the child. Kushina-chan. Kushina looks up from her food to Kyuubi. Would you be the godmother? Kushina looks surprised, and so does Naruto too, but she figured that he would agree with his mother being the godmother in a heartbeat. We are over so much, and it only seems natural, as we have a lot in common already. Plus we could have playmates for our children. Kushina looks at Minato for a second before energetically jumping up and hugging Kyuubi tightly. Of course I would. Kyuubi happily hugs back, and after that, dinner seems to be done. Tsunade and Jiraiya leave earlier than Kakashi. Naruto and Kyuubi stay a little longer, but leave not long after that, leaving Kushina to give Susan a stern talking to. Time skip 1 year and 10 months. 2 years later, little Kiyomi Namikaze was born. She has one tail, and kitsune ears that have wet black hair, but not very thick. She was born a good 25 inches, and a whopping 20 pounds. Tsunade delivered the baby, and now in the hands of her mother and father, smiling down on the infant. Then the baby starts crying. Both look like they don't know what to do. Tsunade rolls her eyes. She is hungry. Do it just like I showed you. Kyuubi blushes, and looks at Naruto. He gets confused before figuring out that she is waiting for him to turn around, which she does. We sure made a beautiful baby. She leans her head up against his, and both watch, as their child drinks her fill. Neither notices that Tsunade has left the room. When Kiyomi falls asleep in Kyuubi's arms, she decides to get some sleep, as well. She is tired enough, as she just pushed a baby twice the weight of a normal human one out of her. The woman is just glad that she doesn't have to carry her around where she can't adjust her. During the 3rd trimester, which is the 3rd year, Kiyomi started to develop her tail, which meant that the bone poked her at the most random times, and whenever she lay down on her back. She had to sleep on her side for 6 months before the tail curved upwards, allowing her to finally get some rest. Or not. Kiyomi was one active baby in the womb. Constantly kicking, and with her tails twitching too, it made for some very long nights. Like normal pregnancies, Kyuubi too was plagued by random bouts of irritability and sharp cravings. Her back by the end of the pregnancy was ready to cave in, and you would too if carrying a 20-pound weight out in front of your body for months on end. Her feet got swollen, which could only be assuaged by Naruto's wondrous foot massages, and they happened quite frequently too. Kyuubi couldn't ask for a better husband. Naruto is always courteous, even during one of her mood swings, always caring, and getting things for her, always doing things for her like rubbing baby oil on her ever-growing stomach or rubbing her feet. Oh how she will reward him. The second it is safe to, she is going to jump him, and give him the best sex he has ever had. After months of no sex, it could just be the wildest sex they have ever had, and they have had plenty of those. Kushina had been a godsend. With 2 pregnancies of her own, she was, and will still be an invaluable source of wisdom for the couple. She came up with little that Naruto then used to ease her to sleep when Kiyomi wouldn't stop kicking, or when she was home alone and needed something. A seal would let Naruto know, and send a cloner alert someone else that she needs something. The spare bedroom that Kyuubi's all those years ago is now a nursery made specifically for a kitsune child. Tougher carpets when Kyuubi's claws come in, and much tougher toys for when she starts teething. There are things hanging from the ceiling to encourage the use of her prehensile tail, and bright colors, and books to fire her imagination. The entire apartment now has suppression seals, as it is unclear whether Kyuubi will have chakra, or a combination of the two. And since children can be difficult, they don't want Kyuubi bringing the entire village to their apartment. A few days later, Kyuubi and Naruto walk through the door, glad to be home, and out from under Tsunede's clutches. That woman. Kyuubi puts those thoughts aside, as Kyuubi again begins to cry. This is going to happen a lot, isn't it? Naruto walks up behind his wife, and gently hugs her from behind. We both knew this long ago. Kyuubi leans up against him, and brings her tails out. She opens her shirt. I know. It's just standing there talking about it, and actually being here with her in my arms is completely different. I know. It is like a dream. I never thought that she would actually get here. 2 years was a long time to wait. Come on, let's get some sleep. I doubt we are going to be getting any kind of consistent sleep for a while. For the next several years, there is Kyuubi. Her maturation cycle is much slower than a human's, despite being twice the weight and a little taller than a human baby at birth. At age 10, she looks and acts like she is 4. At age 16, she looks and acts like 10. That made Kushina very happy, as she finally admitted that she loved kids that age, and she gets twice as long with her little Kyuubi. Kyuubi's fur grew from back to a shade or two lighter than her mother's after a few months, and her eyes changed from baby blue to the same shade as her tails. Each year, she looks more and more like her mother, and acts like her dad. Caring and compassionate while cute and cuddly. She enjoys physical contact, and takes advantage of getting some whenever she can, though her family is more than willing to give her that. Kyuubi's fox form is just that. A fox. But she is small, and has only one tail, and they took a family trip to show her how to change. Naruto had stood off to the side, and watched in awe, as his wife transformed into the Miss of Fox she was all those years ago, though she was a little afraid too. But, as soon as she did, her little girl's eyes lit up with hearts in them. She dove into turning into a fox with gusto and enthusiasm, just like her father does with training and ramen. Speaking of Naruto, 10 years after Kyuubi's birth, Minato gave up the seat of Hokage to Naruto, as well as the title of Kairoi Senki no Konoha, Konoha's Yellow Flash. Naruto didn't have a tough time, seeing how his dad had dealt with Danzo and Orochimaru early on in his life. Also, Salamander Hanzo had been taken care of by a group of 3 people, who mysteriously vanished to Konoha for 15 years before miraculously returning to save Aang. With Madara gone, there weren't many reasons for conflict, and the longest time of peace reigned for 30 years before a diplomat was killed, and trade disputes made Iwa and Kumar go to war. Kyuubi had stepped in, and stopped the fighting forcefully. She threatened that if all the Jinchuriki weren't handed over to Konoha, then she would burn down each and every village until they agreed. She only had to destroy one, and a very minor village that was holding the 6 tails. She was very careful to make sure the village was either empty or she missed the people. The other villages grew afraid of Kyuubi, and sent their Jinchuriki with orders to stop Kyuubi. Once they got to Kyuubi, they prepared for the fight of their lives, and most likely the last of their lives, but Naruto flashes in, and disarms the situation, and shocks them with his marriage to Kyuubi, and having a child with her. He explained his reasons behind gathering the Jinchuriki, and then letting the Bijk go once the hosts die a natural death. He won't kill them just to get to the Bijk. With Kyuubi at his side, none of the other Bijk would dare try to attack Konoha or Naruto. Konoha became a safe haven for Bijk under Naruto and Minato's reign, though they weren't hunted or prosecuted, and in doing so, established the strongest village in history. But that is only a consequence, and not the reason he did it. Kyuubi gets to visit her old friends, and can now go into the village with Kyuubi with their tails, and ears out without fear of repercussions. Oh, how he got a thank you for that. But sadly, people die, and Naruto was very sad to see his parents die, especially his mother. They had always been so close even when he was young, and that bond only grew stronger over the decades. He did the eulogy at each of his parents' funerals. His father died first, with his mom following a few weeks later, saying that she is lonely without Minato. Of his brothers and sisters, only Naomi remains, and she is an old lady in her own right at 57, married with 7 children all from her. Almost all of Naruto's friends have died, all except a certain Uchiha named Sasuke, and an Inuzuka named Kippa. Then Tsunade died at a surprising age of 80, being a medic. She took steps long ago to ensure she lived a long life. She and Kyuubi had grown quite close over the years, especially after Kushina's death. Now Naruto is the ripe age of 73 with his wife and daughter looking no older than 20. They never had a second child, even though they tried again and again. But it seems the mate mark is good for one-time use. His successor is one of the Uchiha clan, and the grandchild of Itachi. She is very level-headed, and isn't full of the Uchiha arrogance like the rest of the clan is, nor is she emotionless like her grandfather. She is smart, young, beautiful, and most of all very powerful, having been personally groomed to be the next Hokage since age 15. 1 Siko Uchiha. Kyuubi has grown into a beautiful woman. She looks just like her mother, and for that Naruto is grateful. It would have been awkward if she looked like him. She has bright red tails, ears, eyes, and hair that reaches her ankles when not tied back. Over the many years, she has had many suitors, some of them bitch and cricky, but she declined them all, saying that she isn't ready for a relationship, and she has a very good idea what a relationship should be like. She has grown in height to an inch above her mother, and 5 tail swirls behind her. Naruto lays in his room reading with his glasses, and his wife of many decades walks in. He marvels at her youthful appearance, but knows that she has aged more mentally in the past 50 years than she has in her entire life. Hey Kyu-chan. His voice is firm, but soft. Hey yourself, she replies softly. She sits on the bed, and molds herself into him. What am I going to do? Naruto closes his book, and puts an arm around her. What do you mean? Kyuubi looks into his eyes, and he finds tears forming in them. I don't want to lose you. It was hard enough losing Kushina-chan and Tsunade-chan, but I don't think I can go on without you. Naruto kisses her forehead. Everyone dies eventually. There is no stopping that. Even if you die someday. Whether that is days or centuries from now, that is up to Kami, and you. Kyuubi cries into his chest. I don't want to live without you. I can't live without you. I want to die with you. He wraps his arms around her protectively. But you can't. Who would look after Kyuubi? While she is in her late 40s, she is still just a child into her long life. Remember that she matures about half as fast as a human. She needs guidance, and she needs you. While she may be a daddy's girl, she needs you to teach her. She needs you to support her through my death. If we both die, I don't want to think about what she could do in her despair or how lost she could be. Someone could take advantage of that. Are you willing to risk her well-being? She is trapped, and she knows it. Damn him. She shakes her head at him, but doesn't let go. That isn't fair. I can't mother her forever. Naruto smiles. I know, but it is true. And I know you can't forever, but she isn't ready to face the world on her own. I would be there with you if I could, but I can't. I only have a few more days left. I can feel the strength leaving my body. Naruto has the same degenerative bone disease that his dad had. There is no cure, and it only is active with the males of the Namika's descent. Even Tsunade, who had researched the disease for many decades, was unable to come up with one. Kyuubi had tried with her to destroy the disease, but she couldn't do it without overloading his body, which would kill him. But they couldn't do progressive treatments because the disease would just reclaim the area that had been cleansed before he would be able to handle another session. Kyuubi was devastated and mopped for a good month before he broke her out of it. But I've had a good life, thanks to you, and Kyuubi. I couldn't ask for anything more. I'm okay with dying. I get to meet my older brother, and I know that you are very fond of him, he adds quickly at a growl at the mention of his counterpart. But he did bring us together, and that you should be thankful for. The only question is once I die, you have no more reason to be here. So what will you do after I go? Kyuubi shakes her head, not wanting to even admit that he is going to die. But like everything, all good things must come to an end. Naruto holds his wife while she cries for him, whispering soothing words to her, but they don't work. If anything, it just makes it worse knowing that her entire support structure will be gone in a few days. Naruto just holds her while she calms down. It takes a good hour to do, but that is understandable. As Kyuubi dries her eyes, she looks at Naruto and rushes forward to kiss him. Time skipped 3 days. Naruto held on longer than expected, and fell into death among friends and his family, embraced by his wife and daughter with a smile on his face. They wept silently as they held him and left holding each other, while the village prepared his body for burial. The next day, the whole village mourns his death. Instead of the flags up on top of the Hokage tower flying the flag for the current Hokage, they are at half-mast, and the flag for the Rakuten Hokage flies for the last time. The entire village shows up for his funeral, where Kyuubi gives his eulogy. It is tradition for the current Hokage to do so, but Siko had decided that his wife could do it better than anybody. Kyuubi gets to the podium next to his grave. She touches the stone like it would break, and a few tears come out of her eyes. Today is not. She sobs, overcome by her emotions. Kyuubi rushes up there and helps calm her down. Nobody in the crowd makes a noise or gives any hint of annoyance. Kyuubi returns to the stand. Today is not a day for remembering a man who gave his all in everything he did, a man who never did anything halfway. No, we will always remember him as a strong man that cared for everyone, not just the ones who were nice to him. His memory lives on in all of us, so in a way, he will always be alive. Here lies the body of a man who I love more than my own life, who I would gladly give my life for, who I would love to join at the afterlife. But this is just a body. The soul of the man I love is up with Kami, and is among loved ones, as I speak. He is alive and well, and I someday hope to join him, and join the festivities they are having right now. I bet the feast is composed completely of ramen. She chuckles bitterly at her own joke. She bites back the tears and soldiers on. Naruto, what can I say that I haven't already said about him over his lifetime? When we first met, I had no idea that I was not just meeting my future husband, but also my soulmate. I hated him much like everything back then. I lived a shell of a life until Naruto came and filled it up and made me realize just how much I was missing. Just like with many of us, he made us realize what living really meant. He made us appreciate the small things in life. He put a smile on our faces. He was the sunshine in my life of darkness. Even when life was darkest, he was the one who pushed us, who banded us together, who prevailed when all others wanted to give in and give up. Even now, I miss him so much. I miss his smile, I miss his touch, I miss his laughter, his jokes, the way he comforts me, the blanket of security he provided over the paralyzing fear that took hold of me more times than one. I wish so much that I could join him. He wouldn't want us to be sad, but I just can't help but already miss him so much. It is only his memory and his wish that I continue on just like in all of us. It is because of him that Konoha now stands as it does, and he will always live on. Kyuubi exits the podium and joins her daughter in the family section, where she breaks down. Siko steps towards Kyuubi and hands her Naruto's cage hat, a tradition passed on since the Shodan. Kyuubi holds the hat to her, the last bit of her husband. Nobody finds it weird that someone would want to die at a funeral, especially her. Most know that she couldn't die even if she tried it herself. Konoha continues to mourn for a full week. Kyuubi gets many visits from Naomi and her friends. She sits at the table of their original apartment and goes over every memory they shared here. Suddenly she registers something within her. It is a weird sensation. It feels like when she was pregnant, the constant drain of energy, only it is minuscule in comparison. She does a quick pregnancy check, half hoping that she would be, half wishing not because Naruto isn't here to help raise the child. It isn't sudden, just that she is just now realizing that it is there. It started the moment she felt the life leave her husband. But no, she isn't pregnant. She sighs in disappointment and relief. She takes one look around the apartment before coming to a decision. I have to get out of here. This brings up too many memories of him. She shunshuns to Kyuumi's apartment and knocks. Less than 30 seconds later the door opens. Kyuubi opens the door and is surprised to find her mother at the door. Hi mom. She lets her mother in. Once inside, Kyuubi turns around and faces her daughter. Pack your things. We're leaving Konoha for now. Time skip 100 years. Kyuubi brings a plate of warm soup into her mother's room. She opens the door to see her mother sleeping on her bed. She walks over and sets the tray on the bedside table. Mom woke up. It's time to eat. Kyuubi slowly wakes up and sees the smile on her daughter's face and the tray next to her. Oh thank you Kyuubi. She stretches out her withered hand and tries to lift the soup bowl, but it is too hot. Well don't just sit there girl, help your old mother. She jokes. Kyuubi chuckles. I was just waiting for you to tell me to help you. You always like to do things yourself and find out that you can't before you ask for help. Kyuubi chuckles as Kyuubi spoons a mouthful into her mouth. When Kyuubi is done, she takes a second to watch her mother. Her once luscious dark red hair is now gray, as are her tails. Her skin is sag and clearly aged. But even in old age, she is still quite attractive, though she hasn't let anyone touch her since Naruto died. Kyuubi came here. And she does without question. Kyuubi takes a hand and runs it over her daughter's cheek. You're so beautiful, just like I used to be. You're still a beautiful mom. All the older guys want to date you. Ain't that the truth? But all joking aside, I have to tell you something. Kyuubi, you are now the Kyuubi no Yuko, though I guess it should be the Kyuubi no Yuko or Kyuubi Namikaze no Yuko. You have learned and mastered everything I have taught you, and more. I couldn't have asked for it. I don't have long now, but I don't want you to be sad for too long. I'll be joining your father shortly, and we will look forward to seeing you there too, just not too soon. I'll miss out on a lot of things like grandchildren or your marriage. I'll miss your accomplishments as you climb out of the shadow of your father and I'll miss you coming to me for advice when you're pregnant or when you have a question about marriage. I'll miss spoiling your child just as your grandmother spoiled you. But most of all, I'll miss you. These past years have been the happiest I've had in a long time. Kyuubi has tears going down her face, to which Kyuubi rubs them off with her wrinkled thumb. SHHH, I know. You do know my last request, right? Kyuubi nods and holds her mother's hand. Kyuubi smiles. Then I can go with a smile on my face. Please don't be too sad. I know I'm leaving you all alone, please don't think too badly of me for wanting to see your father once more. Kyuubi can hardly hold that against her. If one thing was made clear the past 100 years, it is that she missed her husband terribly. That bastard left me alone, and now I'm doing the same to you. So find someone to love, and love them with all your heart. Don't give in to fear like I did at the start. Don't be afraid of death or of life. Remember your father when fear starts to overcome you, and remember that to live in fear is to not live at all. Kyuubi's hand falls from Kyuumi's cheek. It is my time to go. It seems Naruto was right. Everyone dies sometime, even a bitch like me. I'll miss you, daughter, live for love, and you will be the happiest person on the planet. And with that, the mighty Kyuubi no Yuko, wife of the Rakuten Hokage, and mother of Kiyomi Namikaze, the first ever human kitsune hybrid, passes on to the next life with a smile on her face. Kiyomi smiles through her tears, and goes about preparing her mother's last request, being buried with her husband. With Kyuubi. Kyuubi looks around. She had closed her eyes, and opened them again, only to find herself in this room of pure while. She has to blink for a while before her eyes adjust to the level of light. Only then does she see several people in front of her. The one on the left is a woman of godly beauty. A wave of curly blonde hair cascades over her aristocratic features. The woman next to her could very well be the first one's sister. Long silver hair with glowing amethyst eyes go with the same aristocratic features of the woman beside her. Next to her is a skinny man, almost just skin and bones. He has long sinewy black hair and high cheekbones with sunken cheeks, giving him a hollow look. The last one scares her a little. The last one is a large man with huge muscles that look like they can do a lot of damage. He has a bald head with red markings over his left eye and left shoulder. On his right shoulder he has a golden arm brace that goes clear up to his collarbone, and a matching gauntlet on the same hand. He wears no shirt, leaving his scarred torso in plain view. The first woman stands. Kyuubi no Yuko, you have been brought to my court to receive judgment. I am Asami, goddess of creation. Beside me is Kami, goddess of life, Shinigami, god of death, and Kratos, god of chaos. Now let us begin. You were created by the Sage of Six Paths to deal with the threat of the Chiba-I. After you were created, you wandered the world for hundreds of years, dabbling in a little of everything, but always killing those in your path without a second thought. You slaughtered hundreds by the time you reached 20 years of age. Kyuubi looks down. She isn't particularly proud of the years before she met Naruto. Kratos grunts. She just knew how to party. They just couldn't keep up. Asami shoots him an annoyed look. We agreed a long time ago that if you don't have something to contribute, keep your mouth shut. Kratos rolls his eyes and flexes his muscles, trying to intimidate the goddess. But she doesn't back down, and Kratos grunts and turns away. Anyways, you continue in your path of destruction for hundreds of years, gaining a hatred for everything around you. Then you were summoned by one Uchiha Madara. You battled both Madara and Hashirama Senju, forcing Madara to retreat, and for you to be sealed in one Mido Uzumaki, to save not only her husband, but the whole village of Konoha. You stayed in prison for 53 years, confined again by one Uzumaki Kushina. Upon her giving birth, you escaped the sea with the aid of Madara. Two forces fought and killed Madara while you went and tried to destroy Konoha for a second time. But you were stopped by an anomaly. Someone that wasn't supposed to be there and radically changed the timeline. One Uzumaki Naruto. Kyuubi's jaw unconsciously clenches at the name. I see you still harbor resentment, though it is a lot less than it was before. You were roped into becoming Konoha's protector for 30 years. And over the next 155 years, you watched over Konoha and your husband and daughter. Your daughter will go on to take the title of Kyuubi no Yuko in your honor, and will do many great deeds with your title. It will become a lineage to become the Kyuubi no Yuko. But do those years you spent loving instead make up for the hundreds of years of killing mercilessly? Kyuubi's head drops like her tails and ears. She knew that would come back to haunt her, and now it has when it matters most. Asami smiles. I do. I believe that the years you loved your husband taught you more than hundreds of years before you. For the first time, you knew killing was wrong, and didn't do it. You don't like killing now, your body language suggests that you regret your past. You learn to love, and to be loved in return, and that is the greatest thing someone can learn. Kami nods her consent along with Shinigami, but Kratos gets angry. Oh hell no. Come on, just a little death. Doesn't that excite you? Doesn't that turn you on? Come on, you were one crazy party girl back then. Even Shiny enjoyed your rages, and it gave him a lot of souls. Then you turned into Kami's romance books. Boring. Kyuubi looks at the other three. Is he always like this? The other three nod. Dear Kami, sorry it's a habit. But you need to get laid. Kratos' demeanor takes a complete 180. Are you offering? Not a second later, Kratos is sent backwards into a wall. No you idiot, she's taken. Kyuubi's heart jumps. She knows that voice. Naruto. She runs and jumps into his awaiting arms, like he didn't just punch a god in the face. You're not old anymore. Naruto smiles and kisses her chin. And you aren't either. She looks, and true to his words, her body looks just as young as the day she really married Naruto. She smiles tearily and attacks him again, getting a groan from him. But a few wolf calls from behind them gets her attention. Kushina-chan. Tsunade-chan. She leaves Naruto on the ground and jumps into the embrace of those she loves, all of them laughing and crying. She looks around. Jiraiya, Tsunade, Minato, Susan, who had long ago gotten over the issue of her parents not trusting her, Naomi along with her husband and children, Kakashi, Rin, and her husband, and the twins, and one Uzumaki Naruto. Strangely enough, the gods and goddesses have all disappeared along with the whole Naruto put Kratos in. Her blood runs cold as she lays her eyes on him for the first time in 150 years. You? He flinches. Hi. He rockets across the room, making the other's eyes go wide. Naruto is at her side in an instant, trying to cool her off, but one fierce look cows him instantly. She strides forward with purpose, and stops just short of his prone position. I guess I deserve that. He blinks, and finds the woman who hit him extending her hand. He tentatively takes it, and she pulls him up. Then she walks off, leaving him confused. What was that about? She turns her head, but continues walking towards her husband. The hit was for being an ass, while the help was thanks for bringing me and my Narukon together. Uzumaki Naruto rubs his cheek when she hits him, and smiles, as he rejoins the group as one big and happy family. Thanks for watching my video, and make sure to check out the author of this fanfic. Link is in the description. See you next time. Till then, sayonara.